Chapter 1065. The three ancient order clans reunite. After transforming into his true ancient god body, Wang Lin let out a roar. The roar formed a storm that silently collided with the roar of the ancient devil. At the same time, the escaping ancient demon Bei Lu suddenly stopped, and his eyes revealed a trace of crazy demonic light. Today, all three ancient order clans are in the same place. What a spectacular view. I am in a sorry state for an ancient demon. Bei Lu's body flashed and immediately grew. The 7-star ancient demon's body was thousands of feet tall, almost as tall as Wang Lin's ancient god body. At this instant, the battle no longer belonged to the cultivators, but to the three ancient order clans that had existed since ancient times. After Bei Lu transformed into his ancient demon body, he let out the roar of an ancient demon. It created an intangible force that joined with Wang Lin's roar and swept toward ancient devil Tajia. He is unexpectedly a royal ancient god. Ancient devil Tajia stared at Wang Lin. He clearly saw a trace of gold within the 5 stars between Wang Lin's eyebrows. This trace of gold meant the royal bloodline. The angry roars of the three ancient order clans created an indescribable storm. It swept across the 8th floor and caused all the surrounding buildings to collapse. Even the sky seemed like it was about to collapse, as fine cracks appeared and bursts of hot gas filled the area. Ancient demon Bei Lu took a step and shouted, "Ancient God, do you dare to fight this ancient devil with me?" Wang Lin's right hand reached out at the void before him, causing a large rift to appear. Purple lightning came out of the crack, and he dragged out the 1,000 feet long god-slaying spear. He grabbed the spear and shouted, "Why would I not dare?" Ancient demon Bei Lu laughed as his right hand also reached at the void. A large flag immediately appeared, and it seemed to cover the world. It flew directly at the ancient devil. Wang Lin took a step and charged at the ancient devil. The ancient devil's eyes revealed mockery as he raised the blade in his hand. Monstrous blade energy appeared behind him, and he smiled. A mere 5-star ancient god and a 7-star ancient demon dare to fight me? As he laughed, the heaven-shaking blade energy shot forward. There were only 2 rays of blade energy. One swept through the sky and the other swept just above the earth. This represented the sky and the earth. Once they crossed, they would create a destructive force. Ancient demon Bei Lu waved his right hand, and endless demonic energy came from the 1,000-foot flag and shot at the blade energy in the sky. Demonic energy erupted from his body, and it was an earth-shaking sight to behold. Wang Lin threw the god-slaying spear in his hand, and the purple lightning filled the world. The god-slaying spear was covered in purple lightning when it collided with the blade energy on the ground. Rumbling sounds suddenly echoed, and a powerful shock wave to sweep the area when the blade energy on the ground and the god-slaying spear collided. The earth completely collapsed, and there was no longer a 9th floor in his cave. Just the 8th floor that was connected to the 9th floor. Wang Lin's ancient godboy felt an unimaginable impact during this collision, and popping sounds came from his body. He coughed out a mouthful of blood, and the ancient god stars between his eyebrows dimmed. In the sky, the ancient demon's flag collided with the blade energy, and a shocking impact spread. Even more cracks appeared in the sky due to this impact, and a blood-red light came through the cracks. At this moment, it felt as if the sky could collapse with a single touch. Wang Lin, we need to go all out with him. Otherwise, none of us will escape this celestial emperor cave. As ancient demon Bei Lu roared, he took a step and charged at the ancient devil. However, his body suddenly began to retreat. It was so fast that he left an after-inch, and he rushed at the cracked sky. However, although ancient demon Bei Lu was fast, Wang Lin was even faster. The moment ancient demon Bei Lu roared, Wang Lin also grabbed Wang Wei and Hu Huan before charging at the sky. He was a bit faster than Bei Lu as he punched the sky. The sky was already extremely fragile, and now it was smashed open by Wang Lin's punch. It completely cracked, and the sky disintegrated. The moment the sky collapsed, endless magma fell like rain. Wang Lin's body rushed into the magma and charged straight up. The ancient devil cursed, but he didn't slow down and charged straight up. Master Void had cultivated for many years. Although his mind was affected due to the early arrival of the first Heaven's blight, it was unprecedentedly clear at this moment. The moment the sky collapsed, he coughed out blood and used the blood escape to charge into the magma. He disregarded the high temperature of the magma and the newly inflicted injuries caused by the battle between the three members of the Ancient Order clan. As he rushed into the magma, he also didn't have time to think about finding trouble for Wang Lin, as he was focused on escaping this place. Along the way, his injuries became worse, and at this moment, his cultivation level fell from Nirvana Shatterer to peak Nirvana Cleanser. A dense feeling of unease enveloped his mind, making the once powerful Master Void look like a stray god. When Wang Lin charged into the 7th floor, endless lava rushed toward his face. His body quickly shrank back into his ordinary body. His face was pale as he coughed out a mouthful of blood, and bursts of pain came from his body. He couldn't help but slow down a bit due to this, even though he had transformed into his ancient god body. He was still seriously injured by that blade energy despite the fact that he had the god-slaying spear. However, if he hadn't done it, then it would be been impossible for Wang Wei or Hu Huan to escape. Even he himself wouldn't have had the chance to escape to the 7th floor. After all, Wang Lin was only at the peak of the Nirvana Scryer stage. Just at this moment, Hu Huan grabbed Wang Lin and Wang Wei and flew straight up. She also devoured the only green pill she had. Now that she had recovered, she quickly moved through the magma with Wang Lin and Wang Wei. The magma continued to move into Wang Lin's body and shook his spirit a bit. He quickly sent out a message saying, "Seniors, go first. I found a fire spirit here before and may be able to use it to stop the ancient devil a bit." Hu Huan revealed a hint of hesitation. If it was before, no matter how much she and Wang Wei admired Wang Lin, she wouldn't have hesitated. However, Wang Lin had just saved her and her husband, and this was very important to her. She didn't even know that Wang Lin had saved Wang Wei from Master Void's sneak attack. This kind of kindness needed to be repaid. "You." Hu Huan looked at Wang Wei, who had helped her block the blade energy and then was seriously injured by the ancient devil's roar. There was struggle in her eyes. Right now, Wang Wei needed urgent care, and Hu Huan didn't have time to wait. "Senior can rest assured." Wang Lin left Hu Huan and charged into the depths of the magma in the 7th floor. Hu Huan clenched her teeth as she took Wang Wei and disappeared. After Hu Huan left, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He was so desperate to make Wang Wei and Hu Huan owe him. As long as the two of them were grateful, then even if Qing Lin doesn't awaken, they would help with Situnane's matter. Also, their treatment of Zhou Yi would be vastly different due to his kindness. Inside the magma, Wang Lin mercilessly absorbed without hesitation. The magma seemed to flow in reverse as the fire origin energy entered Wang Lin's body like crazy. The energy flowed through his meridians, causing his seriously injured body to recover a bit. Wang Lin wasn't being careful like he was when he absorbing before. Right now, he was extremely reckless. The vermilion bird on his body appeared around him, and as a result, the fire origin energy inside the magma surged at them. As the fire origin energy surged toward Wang Lin, large amounts of magma fell from the 7th floor to the 8th floor. Ancient Demon Beilu and Master Void charged into the magma with Ancient Devil Tajia chasing behind. At this moment, all of this, along with Wang Lin frantically stirring up the fire origin energy in the magma, caused all the magma inside the volcano to begin collapsing. Just at this moment, a heaven-shaking roar that shook the magma came from the depths of the volcano. A giant dragon head arose in the magma. At this moment, all of the magma Wang Lin hadn't absorbed or had fallen into the 8th floor began to move as if it had intelligence. It all charged at the dragon. In the blink of an eye, all the magma in the 7th floor disappeared, leaving behind an indescribably large fire dragon that stared at all the creatures below it. At the same time, in the boundless space where the speck of dust where the demon spirit land was, there was fire burning in the horizon. A giant vermilion bird letting out vermilion bird cries slowly closed in. This vermilion bird had intelligence. It unexpectedly didn't go to the entrance at the East Demon Spirit Sea, but to the true location of the Demon Spirit Land. There were large amount of cultivators behind this vermilion bird, and among them were 6 elders. These 6 elders all wore red robes, and each one of them gave off a powerful aura. They were all Nirvana Shatterer cultivators. According to the search with the true spirit, this is where the person who has awakened is, and this is also the location of that mysterious sense of danger. This trip might be extremely dangerous, but even if I risk it all, I must protect the person who awakened. The 6 elders looked at each other and saw the determination in each other's eyes. All the other members of the Vermilion Bird Divine sect revealed determined gazes. At the same time, a majestic voice came from the planet above the vortex in the Cultivation Alliance headquarters. Suspend the battle with El Heaven. Send all forces to where Qing Lin's cave is. The moment this voice echoed, Qing Shui's body appeared outside the Alliance headquarters. He stared at the Alliance headquarters, and the red G realm shined in his eye. The new chapter is late, but it has over 500 more words than the previous ones. I hope not to be hit. Wishing for the like button for the video chapter. At the same time, inside the brilliant void realm, the old man who noticed Wang Lin before revealed a complex expression. He shook his head as he stepped forward, and his gaze fell on the indifferent brilliant void saintess, Mu Bingmei. Your 9th avatar was destroyed due to a calamity. Why do you still hide even though the calamity has arrived? The beautiful woman with the cold expression lowered her head and pondered. Since that 9th avatar was destroyed because of him, no matter how much you avoid it, you still have to face it in the end. When you saved that little girl, Joru, this old man already knew that your mind was a mess due to the 9th avatar. The old man let out a sigh as he looked up at the void. Remember, you are the brilliant void saintess, Mu Bingmei, not Liu Mei from planet Suzaku, who had a son with an ordinary cultivator. You are responsible for carrying out the mission of the brilliant void realm and responsible for defending against the people from outside the sealed realm. The boundary between the inner and outer realms will open soon. He is not an ordinary cultivator. Before the old man could finish, the indifferent woman lifted her head and calmly spoke. Her beautiful face was enough to make anyone's heart pound and be willing to do anything for her. Are you still stubbornly indulging yourself in that illusion? The old man frowned. I'm just telling you that he is not an ordinary cultivator. The indifferent woman's voice was still calm, but her tone was slightly heavier. Fine. Even if he isn't an ordinary cultivator, even though his mind was able to enter here through some unknown method, even if he reaches the peak of the 2nd step, so what? The old man revealed a look of disdain. In the end, he is still just a cultivator. This old man didn't know that this little cultivator he spoke of was someone who had survived the Vermilion Bird Awakening, and the Vermilion Bird Divine Sect would protect him with all their might. He also didn't know that this little cultivator had the blood of an ancient god. This wasn't power he had inherited. He had gained it after his own body collapsed, and he reformed it based on 2C's memories. This body was the root of his bloodline. He also didn't know that this little cultivator had the heaven-defying bead. The beautiful woman looked at the old man and calmly said, You were once only a cultivator. The old man revealed a bitter smile and didn't know what to say for a moment. You can rest assured, I want to evade the responsibility of the brilliant void realm as the brilliant void saintess. However, you can interfere in my private affairs, and you don't have the right to interfere. I don't need anyone else to get involved in the matter between us. The beautiful woman's voice was resolute, and she refused to compromise. The old man let out a sigh and didn't continue this topic. He looked at the sky and said, My old friend's body has been possessed, so I am going on a trip. Are you going as well? The beautiful woman pondered a bit and revealed a complex expression. However, in the end, she became determined and nodded. I'll go. Inside the 7th floor of the Celestial Emperor Cave, all of the magma had condensed into a fire dragon. The fire dragon lifted its head and stared at everyone below it. An invisible pressure suddenly spread. 2 strands of heat waves came out of the fire dragon's nose along with this pressure. The 2 giant dragon horns were red and gave off intense temperatures. Its python-like body was coiled up, giving the dragon an aura that made it seem like it looked down upon the world. Its angry gaze swept through the people below and locked onto Wang Lin. He could feel a hint of familiar aura from Wang Lin's small and weak body. This was the aura of fire origin energy. Wang Lin's mind trembled when the fire dragon looked at him. He didn't bow his head but slowly retreated. The dragon quickly withdrew its gaze and stared at Master Void, Ancient Demon Beilu, and Ancient Devil Tajia. It let out a roar and charged at the 3 of them. Wang Lin let out a sigh of relief and rapidly retreated. When his divine sense spread out, he saw that the 7th floor had become a sea of flames when the fire dragon roared. As the dense fire burned, Ancient Demon Beilu's eyes lit up and he unexpectedly stopped escaping. He turned around and his hand formed a seal. A giant green demon head appeared behind him and charged at the ancient devil. Master Void's hand formed a seal, and formed a storm of yellow sand, creating a 100-foot barrier around him blocking the flames. However, with his current cultivation level, he couldn't hold the fire off for long. When the sand came into contact with the flames, there were popping sounds, and the sand cracked and collapsed. As for ancient devil Xianxia, his eyes became cold, and he was filled with bloodthirst. With a step, he let out a hoarse laugh. Why did you stop running? A mere fire dragon spirit that was only a guard dares to bite its master? As the ancient devil spoke, his hand formed a seal and pointed. He shouted, "Let me show you Qing Lin's spell. Burn the heavens." After he spoke, a black devilish flame appeared where he pointed. The devilish flame immediately began to spread and intense temperatures filled the 7th floor. Even the sky was shrouded by the devilish flames. In an instant, the sky was black because it was covered in these devilish flames. Not only could it burn everything, but the invading devilish energy could cause your origin soul to collapse. In an instant, the devilish flames covered the sky and the fire dragon let out a roar. Flames came from its body like crazy in order to fight the black flames in the sky. The entire 7th floor shook as the fire dragon's giant body rushed at the ancient devil. The ancient devil revealed a sneer as his right hand pointed at the fire dragon. All of the devilish flames in the sky descended like meteors and surrounded the fire dragon. This scene was heaven-shaking. In an instant, the devilish flames fell and covered the fire dragon. At this moment, it looked as if the fire dragon was giving off monstrous devilish energy. Waves of angry and painful roars echoed from the fire dragon, and it struggled to charge at the ancient devil. However, when it got close, Xianxia's right hand pressed down, creating an invisible force. When the fire dragon was within 100 feet of him, Xianxia caught the fire dragon. No matter how much the fire dragon struggled and roared, it couldn't escape. This made ancient demon Bei Lu suck in a breath of cold air. You can use Qing Lin's avatar and the invisible force in his body. Bei Lu was aghast at the situation. He clearly knew that it meant ancient devil Xianxia's possession had become one with the mind. Ancient demon Bei Lu gave up all intentions of attacking, a bitter feeling arising in his heart. He understood that with his own strength, even if he got everyone else to help, they no longer had the power to change the fact Qing Lin's body had been possessed. This devil was willing to pay any price and fought with Qing Lin inside his body for countless years. All of this was for Qing Lin's memories and his cultivation, but more importantly was for this body. The ancient devil held the fire dragon as it moved forward, and arrogant laughter came from his mouth. Ancient demon, you and I were great enemies in the outside realm, but now you are a mere ant before me. Once this devil completely takes over Qing Lin's body, I'll own the body Qing Lin has refined for countless years. A body that can break all laws. A body that can enter any place. With this body, I can retrace the footsteps of my ancestors and become a 9-star ancient devil. Once I reach 9 stars, I'll be able to enter the ancient devil tower ruin and obtain the true power of the ancestors. Ancient devil Xianxia's mad laughter echoed. The fire dragon struggled to retreat. However, it was thrown aside by Xianxia. Qing Lin's spell, burn the heavens, boil the oceans. The devilish flame in Xianxia's eyes suddenly moved, and the 7th floor was filled with devilish energy. This devilish energy was so dense it seemed like it was corporeal. Then, in the blink of an eye, it turned into a devilish ocean. As the waves raged, Wang Lin's eyes were filled with shock, and he was trapped inside the ocean. Not just him, but Master Void was also trapped inside the ocean. Even ancient demon Bei Lu couldn't escape. In the distance, the fire dragon was roaring inside the ocean, but there was fear in its eyes. As ancient devil Xianxia spoke, the ocean formed by the devilish energy began to boil. Devilish gas floated into the air and bubbles appeared in the raging ocean due to it reaching an unimaginable temperature. This burn the heavens, boil the oceans was going to boil the ocean until it dissipated completely. This also made it impossible for the people trapped inside to struggle. During his brief contact with Xianxia, Wang Lin found that as time passed, Xianxia became even more powerful. Back on the 9th floor, Xianxia would be found it difficult to use these spells, but now he was able to use the Celestial Emperor's spells. Thinking about Celestial Emperor Qing Lin's countless spells, Wang Lin's scalp felt numb. However, right now was not the time to think about it, as the ocean waves raged. The devilish flames in the sky continued to descend and large amounts of water vapor appeared. In the distance, Master Void revealed a miserable smile when he saw the ocean that wanted to boil them alive shrink, and the fire from the sky close in. He hit his forehead with his palm, and his body collapsed. A crazy shockwave spread out from this collapse, and it created a whirlpool in the ocean. It also pushed the descending devilish flames away. The moment his body exploded, Master Void's origin soul charged out. The end of the year is here, brothers. Give a like for Leo. Chapter. This crisis is too dangerous. This old man would rather risk facing the first Heaven's blight than be boiled alive here. The moment Master Void's origin soul flew out, he opened his arms, and his eyes revealed a decisive gaze. As his arms opened, outside the cave and outside the demon spirit land in the boundless space where the vermilion bird spirit was, 5 stars emitted an indescribable light. As this light shined, it diffused across the entire star system. As long as one was in the Alliance star system, one could see that 5 stars had appeared in the sky. Whether it was day or night, the light from the 5 stars could be seen everywhere. Then one of the stars shined brightly and covered up the remaining 4 stars. Then, when the light reached its peak, the star suddenly fell into the void. The old man from the brilliant void realm and the beautiful woman were moving through the stars. As they moved forward, the old man raised his head and calmly muttered, "Someone is experiencing their first Heaven's blight." The most bright of the 5 stars fell. It was extremely fast, far faster than any cultivator. In an instant, the bright star passed the vermilion bird spirit, and a loud rumble echoed when it disappeared into a speck of dust. After piercing through the dust, it entered the demon spirit land and caused the devilish energy shrouding the demon spirit land to be pushed back. The star penetrated into the earth and charged through 6 floors of the Celestial Emperor Cave before landing on Master Void's origin soul within the boiling ocean. At this instant, Master Void's cultivation level increased like crazy, but he revealed a painful expression and began to scream. By borrowing the power of the first Heaven's blight, Master Void unexpectedly broke through the devilish flames in the sky and charged up. His origin soul was rapidly dissipating under the light of the star. For a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator, this was just the start of the first Heaven's blight. Ancient Devil Tajia was going to reach out toward Master Void, but his eyes lit up and he lowered his hand. He is experiencing his first Heaven's blight while seriously injured. If he doesn't die, he could become one of my scattered devils. At this moment, Beilu, Wang Lin, and the dragon that was still trapped inside the boiling ocean had reached a critical moment. The Celestial Emperor's spell and the monstrous devilish flame had reached a frightening degree. The ocean level reduced rapidly, and the temperature increased greatly. Even with Wang Lin's vermilion bird and ancient god body, he felt the pain from the heat. However, no matter how much he struggled, he couldn't charge out. The devilish flames had descended into the ocean, which caused this spell to reach a peak. Wang Lin's eyes became anxious. The intense heat entered his body, making him feel as if he was being cooked alive, and made his body limp. At this moment of crisis, Wang Lin revealed a bitter expression. He had rarely been wrong in his life, but he had to admit he had calculated wrong this time. If he had left with Hu Wan and Wang Wei, he wouldn't have been in such danger. However, even so, they still wouldn't have been able to escape from here. The terrifying ancient devil Tajia would be eventually caught up and they would still had to face him. No matter what, the ending was the same. Wang Lin had been through danger throughout his life, whether it was facing the blood ancestor, the Yao family's pursuit, or the land of the ancient god when he was at the core formation stage. None of those times had made Wang Lin yield, and he didn't want to yield now either. However, reality was cruel. However, all of this wasn't enough to make Wang Lin's Dao heart collapse or give up. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He still had the heaven-defying bead. He still had source origin. At this moment, the ocean had almost completely dissipated, leaving only the devilish flames. It seemed to want to burn all life within it to death. The fire dragon was weak, and its body continued to shrink. Even it couldn't withstand the devilish flames. Beilu's body was surrounded by monstrous demonic energy, but this was all futile. The mad laugh of the ancient devil echoed as he stared at the devilish flames. On his shoulder sat a small person. It was the origin soul of the man in black that had shrunken to sit there. A flame dragon circled the man in black. As he stared at the fire dragon, his eyes were filled with greed. This fire spirit dragon was refined by Wang Lin and is extremely loyal to Wang Lin. With its intelligence, it can obviously tell I'm not Wang Lin. Lu Hao, since you are the supreme S disciple, I'll gift it to you to devour. Tajia's voice was calm as he grabbed the origin soul of the man in black and threw it forward. The origin soul turned into a dragon and greedily charged at the weakened fire dragon within the devilish flames. Many thanks, Lord Ancient Devil. The man in black sent out a message filled with joy and then charged at the fire dragon. However, at this moment, the fire dragon raised its head and revealed an unyielding arrogance. It let out a roar that turned into sonic booms that echoed in the devilish flames. It even caused the devilish flames to pause for a moment. The dragon formed by the man in black suddenly stopped and retreated, but the greed in his eyes increased. He was in no rush, and he believed that this fire dragon wouldn't last long under ancient devil Tajia's spell. With greed in his eyes, the man in black's origin soul looked at the struggling Wang Lin. His eyes revealed a strange light. His vermilion bird is also mine. Just at this instant, a scene that shocked the man in black occurred. He saw the fire dragon suddenly struggle to move its body. Its giant body shrank until it was only 100 feet long and charged at Wang Lin. Its dragon eyes revealed determination and an intent to die. It would rather die than let the man in black devour it. If it had to die, then it'd rather choose this person, because it could at least feel a hint of familiarity from this person. This scene was outside of the expectations of the man in black. The fire dragon was so fast that before the man in black could react, it was already near Wang Lin. The moment Wang Lin opened his eyes, the fire dragon let out its last roar and charged into the spot between Wang Lin's eyebrows. Endless fire origin energy entered Wang Lin's body and made its way into his origin soul. The vermilion bird tattoo that had weakened suddenly awakened as if new power had been injected into it and let out a vermilion bird cry. Although the fire origin energy inside the fire dragon was different from the fire of the vermilion bird, the source was still fire of the heavens. When the fire dragon rushed into Wang Lin, it caused the fire origin energy in his body to increase greatly. Moreover, the fusion of these two different types of flames caused an unexpected change. The vermilion bird moved within this storm and the shadow of a dragon. The storm reached a peak and, unexpectedly, even absorbed the devilish flames that were burning the world. As it absorbed like crazy, the storm formed a powerful vortex that had a terrifying suction force. This all happened in an instant, and even ancient devil Tajia was startled. The man in black was aghast at the situation. He no longer had any thought of devouring and wanted to retreat. However, he was too close. So the moment he tried to retreat, he was pulled in by the vortex. The ancient devil frowned as he raised his right hand and grabbed the man in black's origin soul. Just as he was about to withdraw his hand, ancient demon Bei Lu's eyes lit up. He had already given up, but he didn't think that such an unexpected mutation would occur after Wang Lin absorbed the fire dragon. He could clearly see that within the vortex, a white fire was condensing like crazy inside Wang Lin's body. Source Origin Fire Seed. At this moment, even with his identity as an ancient demon, Bei Lu sucked in a breath of cold air. His desperation suddenly disappeared, and he saw a chance to escape. Just a trace more, and he will be able to completely condense that fire seed. Once that fire seed forms, he will be able to control all the flames in the world. Although there is a hint of will inside these flames, Tajia's possession isn't complete, so there is still a chance. Various thoughts flashed through Bei Lu's mind. Just as ancient devil Tajia was about to pull the man in black's origin soul back, Bei Lu clenched his teeth. The 7 stars in his right eye rotated rapidly and then one of them suddenly collapsed. Ancient demon shattered star. The collapse of an ancient demon star allowed a powerful surge of demonic energy to enter Bei Lu's body, allowing him to struggle. Although it was not enough for him to escape or charge out from the burning flames, it was enough for him to use spells. His right eye shined once more and another ancient demon star collapsed. With 2 stars shattered, ancient demon Bei Lu's body suddenly magnified, and he charged forward at the man in black's origin soul that was about to be saved by Tajia. Bei Lu's body turned into a whirlwind of demonic energy and smashed into Tajia's arm. The last 2 days of the month are upon us. wishing for the like button for the video. Right now, it's about doubling the likes for the video. Very grateful and will return the favor. Chapter. There was a loud bang as ancient demon Beilu's body lost a lot of demonic energy, and he became even weaker. However, this made it so the man in black's origin soul was no longer in the ancient devil's grasp. Terrified, the man in black's origin soul was about to escape once more, but Wang Lin's right hand reached out from the vortex and grabbed him. He was about to resist, but endless flames came from Wang Lin and wrapped around him. Then Wang Lin dragged his origin soul into the vortex. Inside the vortex, killing intent appeared in Wang Lin's eyes, and he devoured the man in black's origin soul without hesitation. The moment Wang Lin devoured the man in black's origin soul, an explosion occurred in his body. Absorbing the fire dragon, devouring the man in black's flame dragon, and his own vermilion bird meant that 3 types of flames were inside Wang Lin's body. The fire origin energy in his body reached a new height, and as the heat increased, a fire seed the size of a fingernail was formed in his dantian. The moment the fire seed appeared, all of the devilish flames in the 7th floor paused for a moment and unexpectedly charged at the vortex Wang Lin was in. It was very fast, and in an instant, almost all of it went into the vortex. Devilish flames, fire dragon, and flame dragon. These 3 kinds of fire energy fuse with the vermilion bird. The vermilion bird was the main energy, and the other 3 were secondary when the mutation of flames occurred. However, this wasn't important. After this great fortune, Wang Lin's vermilion bird unexpectedly showed signs of a second awakening. In the vermilion bird divine sect, the number of awakenings determined the peak of one's cultivation level, and this was key for them to become the vermilion bird divine emperor. In the long history of the vermilion bird divine sect, if multiple people had one awakening, then they would fight it out. The winner would become the divine emperor, and the losers would become elders. However, if there was a person among them who had achieved a second awakening, there was no need to fight. The vermilion bird divine emperor would definitely be this person. As for the third awakening, it had never happened in the long history of the vermilion bird divine sect. Right now, the vortex around Wang Lin became monstrous, as if it could support the world. As it continued to absorb, a firestorm came out from the vortex and an indescribable firestorm charged out from the volcano. Cracking sounds came from the mouth of the volcano when the firestorm erupted, then countless pieces of rock fell and the volcano collapsed completely. As it collapsed, the huge firestorm charged up into the sky and the intense heat collided with the sky. This caused a hole to punch right through from the 7th floor to the 6th floor. The 6th floor immediately appeared before everyone. The girl in pink and the beautiful woman were in the 6th floor. Both were in the main hall when they felt the ground take. To their horror, they saw the ground collapse, and all the buildings and the countless restrictions inside all shattered. This looked like the end of the world. However, the firestorm didn't stop. It continued to charge up. In the blink of an eye, it pierced through the 5th floor, and the entire 5th floor collapsed. Wang Wei, who had just woken up, and Hu Huan didn't hesitate and immediately rushed out. This firestorm continued traveling upwards after breaking through to the 5th floor. The 4th floor collapsed. Situ Nan stared dumbfoundedly at all of this and gasped. Without hesitation, he moved with the flames. The 3rd floor collapsed. The 2nd floor collapsed. The monstrous storm reached the 1st floor before it finally stopped, but it didn't dissipate. However, the fire rapidly contracted, and the endless firestorm disappeared into a figure deep within the cave. There were no flames in his eyes, but his body was surrounded by an invisible fire. If one looked closely, they would find that the space around Wang Lin seemed to distort, and your vision was blocked. His hair had completely changed. A head of white hair flowed as Wang Lin let out a big breath and clenched his fist. Behind him, a vermilion bird appeared. It was no longer red, but white. This kind of white was similar to snow, but anyone who saw the vermilion bird would feel the unimaginable heat within. The white vermilion bird circled Wang Lin. It was extremely proud, as if all other creatures in the world were below it. As it circled Wang Lin, it let out a vermilion bird cry that could penetrate the heavens. The vermilion bird's second awakening. At this instant, the entire world trembled. Master Void was hiding in the corner of the 4th floor, struggling to survive through his first heaven's blight. Once I succeed, not only will my injuries recover, but my cultivation level will increase dozens-fold. When that happens, killing that Wang Lin will be like crushing an ant. While was struggling, the cry of the vermilion bird's second awakening entered his ears. After being startled for a moment, Master Void was filled with disbelief. If it was the first awakening, he could accept it, but he would have never thought that a second awakening was possible. He clearly knew what the second awakening meant, and he knew that the difference between the first and second awakenings was like the difference between heaven and earth. If the first awakening could make the entire Vermilion Bird Divine Sect protect him, then the second awakening was enough to make the entire Vermilion Bird Divine Sect crazy. It could no longer be described as using their full power to protect him. Now it would be to protect him no matter the cost. If it was just one awakening, although the Alliance would still have to kill Wang Lin, they wouldn't be shocked. However, if the Vermilion Bird went through a second awakening, even they would be shocked. Moreover, Master Void knew that the time between these two things happening was so short, it was negligible. Thinking about how the person he wanted to kill, the one that caused him to end up in such a state, had awakened twice, Master Void, who was enduring his first Heaven-S blight, coughed out a mouthful of Essence Origin energy. His mind became confused, and all the Origin energy in his body went crazy. The initial sign of failure of his first Heaven-S blight appeared. The first Heaven-S blight was unpredictable, and often just the slightest fluctuation in one's mind was enough to make one fail. And once you failed, the result was death. The moment the Vermilion Bird went through the second awakening, the Vermilion Bird spirit outside the Demon Spirit Land let out the same cry. At this moment, the eyes of all the Vermilion Bird Divine Sect members widened. The 6 Nirvana Shatterer elders all sucked in breaths of cold air. Second awakening. He unexpectedly started the second awaken after such a short period of time. The hope of my Vermilion Bird Divine Sect will arrive. If this person is safe, my Vermilion Bird Sect will rise once more. Deep in the burning starfield where Vermilion Bird Divine Sect was located, there was a white stone. This was where the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor that had survived for countless years sat. At this moment, he suddenly opened his eyes, and they shined like they never before. Second awakening, his breath become unstable. After pondering for a bit, he unexpectedly tried to get up, but in the end, his old body was unsuccessful. I don't have much time left. Giving up a bit of my remaining time for this clan member who has awakened a second time is worth it. The old man let out a sigh and closed his eyes. Just as his eyes closed, an unimaginable force of fire charged out of his body. It was so powerful that even the burning starfield trembled. It was as if the entire starfield was going to collapse, and popping sounds echoed across the starfield. Then an origin soul slowly floated away from this old man. The origin soul didn't look old. It was that of a middle-aged man. He lowered his head and looked at his body, and his eyes revealed an ancient gaze. It has been a long time since my origin soul has left my body. He shook his head and took a step. A vortex appeared in the sea of flames before him. He stepped into the vortex and then disappeared. As for inside the Celestia Emperor cave, on the 7th floor, Tajia looked at the firestorm, and his eyes revealed a serious expression for the first time. He didn't care about the Vermilion Bird's second awakening, but he felt an unexplainable terrifying aura from this ancient god. The royal bloodline ancient god and the Vermilion Bird Divine Beast. They have unexpectedly fused, but that isn't important. Just as I was about to attack to stop him, I unexpectedly felt unease. What else does he have? And at this moment, ancient demon Bei Lu borrowed the moment Wang Lin's second awaken occurred to escape along with the firestorm. He no longer wanted to fight against the ancient devil and was focused on escaping. I need to get out of here and quickly reach the outer realm. I can fight Tajia. Bei Lu felt very bitter. He had lost too much this time. Half of his ancient demon spirit body was devoured, and in order to escape just now, he had shattered 2 stars. He moved like lightning as he charged straight up. Ancient devil Tajia's eyes lit up. The person he absolutely couldn't let go was this ancient demon. He simply ignored Wang Lin and chased after the ancient demon. The more time passed, the better control he had of this body. His speed was now several times faster than before, so he instantly closed the distance between himself and ancient demon Bei Lu. The end of the month is here. Wishing for the like button for the VIDEO. Brothers, do you still have likes for the VIDEO? Chapter. Bei Lu clenched his teeth and moved, but Tajia was even faster. Seeing that he couldn't escape, Bei-Lu clenched his teeth and a third ancient demon star collapsed. Borrowing the force of the star's collapse, Bei-Lu charged into the 6th floor and immediately locked onto the 2 escaping women. His body flickered and closed in on the 2 women. His demonic claw reached out toward the girl in pink. The girl in pink's face became pale without blood, but she didn't panic. The moment the ancient demon's claw closed in, the snowflake mark between her eyebrows shined. There was a loud whistling sound, and then a snowstorm appeared before the girl in pink. The moment the ancient demon's right hand reached over, it collided with the snowstorm, and the claw was knocked back. The girl in pink coughed out blood all over the snowstorm and then was thrown backwards. The ancient demon was surprised, but he didn't hesitate. His right hand swept by and grabbed the beautiful middle-aged woman's head. Thanks to the ancient demon's cultivation level and spell, the injured beautiful middle-aged woman who had just recovered couldn't resist at all. Demonic energy surged into her body and completely sealed all her meridians. At this moment, ancient devil Xianxia arrived. Bei-Lu didn't have time to think. As he held the beautiful woman, a demonic glow appeared in his eyes. Then his left hand formed a seal and he pointed at her body. Every time he pointed, a strand of demonic energy entered her body. In the blink of an eye, the beautiful woman's body trembled, and the blood vessels in her body crossed, forming a large, strange rune. The moment ancient devil Xianxia closed in, ancient demon Bei-Lu threw the beautiful woman, then his eyes lit up and he shouted, "Demon spirit transformation!" After he spoke, all the blood vessels in her body exploded. Her body turned into a blood mist, and she died. However, a rune appeared in her collapsed body and quickly absorbed her flesh. It even spare her shattered origin soul. After absorbing everything, the rune released a demonic glow and flew toward the 5th floor. After the ancient demon did all of this, he felt as if he had consumed a lot of demonic energy, and the 4 remaining stars in his right eye were dim. However, he no longer tried to run. Instead, he turned around and he stared at ancient devil Xianxia with madness in his eyes. Forget it. I'll try to buy more time so the demon spirit can escape. Demon spirit transformation was the ancient demon's life-saving spell, and they wouldn't use it unless they had no choice. This spell had one great weakness, which was that they had to use a member of the opposite sex as a furnace for it to succeed. And even if it succeeded, one would lose most of their cultivation and just become a broken spirit. Bei-Lu had been forced to the brink, and he only used this spell because he saw the 2 women. At this moment, madness appeared in his eyes, and the ancient demon stars in his right eye rotated rapidly and then collapsed. 1, 2, 3, 4 ancient demon stars shined brightly and all collapsed. The collapse of the 4 ancient demon stars caused Bei-Lu's body to grow like crazy, and the madness in his eyes became even stronger. He let out a ferocious roar. "Xianxia, even if I can kill you, I'll make it so your possession will never truly succeed. This is all because you've forced me." Ancient demon Bei-Lu charged out while letting out a roar. Then his body flickered and turned from 1 to 2, then to 4, then to 8. In the blink of an eye, the entire world was filled with ancient demon Bei-Lu's figure. When he got near ancient devil Xianxia, a thunderous rumble echoed. He had chosen to self-destruct. He died just to hurt Xianxia. The thunderous rumble echoed across the sky. All the avatars of the ancient demon collapsed, forming a destructive shockwave that spread across the 5th floor. The entire 7th floor immediately collapsed. The girl in pink revealed anger, but she didn't have time to think. The moment the ancient demon charged at the ancient devil and exploded, she immediately rushed toward the 6th floor. However, before she could get far, she felt the unimaginable impact behind her. As for Wang Lin, he was at the 1st floor of the cave, and the vermilion bird cry echoed behind him. An invisible fire surrounded him as he looked down at the tunnel that pierced through the entire Celestial Emperor cave. His hands were moving and countless restrictions were appearing. The restrictions continued to land on the pit, and each restriction caused a large amount of rocks to fall. Wang Wei and Hu Huan came out, and the moment they saw Wang Lin, they understood his intention. They didn't hesitate and began launching spells at the ground as well. This earth began to tremble as if the entire demon spirit land was being affected. At this moment, it was as if earthquakes were occurring across the demon spirit land. Situnen charged out from the deep pit and cursed non-stop. "Damn it, what is this damn place?" After I leave here and get rid of this poison, I'll have to enter closed-door cultivation. After Situ Nan charged out and saw Wang Lin, he gasped, but he immediately knew Wang Lin's plan. Without hesitation, he flew into the air and began bombarding the ground with spells. The ground began to tremble even more violently. It felt like the entire Celestial Emperor Cave was going to collapse. At this moment, the people hiding inside the second floor all flew out. Among them were Big Head, the 3 Chen brothers, Lei Ji, the beautiful middle-aged woman's 2 disciples, and even Master Hollow Wind. After these people charged out, when they saw Wang Lin, they were terrified and quickly scattered. Master Hollow Wind seemed to have guessed Wang Lin's intention, but he didn't understand. After all, he hadn't experienced the horror of the ancient devil. None of them even knew the ancient devil existed. Just as the trembling became even more violent, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light. Then his hands formed a seal and he suddenly pointed at the ground while letting out a roar. The huge vermilion bird behind him let out a cry and rushed into the pit. The endless flames suddenly surrounded the vermilion bird and charged straight into the pit. At this moment, Wang Wei's eyes were bloodshot, and his hand formed a seal and a monstrous sea appeared. The sea charged into the pit right after the vermilion bird. Hu Wan and Situ Nan also used their most powerful spells that followed the vermilion bird down into the pit. Just at this instant, waves of cold energy came from the pit. It was the girl in pink with countless snowflakes around her, and she was struggling to get out. As the various spells descended, the snowflakes rapidly rotated, and she barely made it out through all the danger. The vermilion bird landed into the pit that penetrated the entire Celestial Emperor Cave. A loud rumble came from the second floor, and when the rest of the spells landed, the Celestial Emperor Cave began to truly collapse. The endless rumbles filled the sky, and as they echoed, the ground sunk in, sealing off the exit. It was also shrouded within everyone's spells. Muffled sounds came from below, and there were roars of the ancient devil. After using the spells, Wang Lin's hands continued to move, and countless restrictions landed. Hu Huan didn't stop either. She and Wang Wei also placed restrictions. The 3 of them were extremely fast, so a large amount of restrictions fell on the collapsed ruin. The dense restrictions landed as if they were forming a large net. At this moment, muffled roars came out, and they were even more crazy than before. As the roars echoed, the earth trembled even more violently. It was as if a force wanted to rush out, as if a person wanted to break out from inside and slaughter all life. The expressions of the surrounding cultivators that didn't know about the ancient devil changed. Master Hollow Wind could clearly feel the endless fierce energy coming from below, which made him tremble. He didn't hesitate and quickly placed the restrictions he knew. Everyone else who knew restrictions all sent out restrictions in an attempt to help. The roars from the ground came closer and closer, and the vibrations became stronger and stronger, causing the rocks that buried the hole to begin to collapse. Not enough time. Wang Lin clenched his teeth as he slapped his bag of holding and took out Xianxia's body. He had no time to worry about Wang Wei or Hu Huan's feelings. His right hand hit the back of Xianxia. This wasn't to hurt her, but to force out all the blood he could from her body without her dissipating. When his palm landed, Xianxia immediately coughed out a large amount of blood. The moment the blood appeared, Wang Lin took it and turned it into blood mist that covered the ground. Origin energy continued to surge out from his hand, and Xianxia continued to cough out blood. Wang Lin scattered blood on all the restrictions here. Just at this instant, a shocking rumbling sound came from underground. Then, a monstrous surge of devilish energy shattered all the rocks that were blocking the way, and ancient devil Xianxia slowly flew upward. However, the devilish energy that rushed up dissipated like melting snow the moment it touched the restrictions. The strange part was that there were 4 people behind ancient devil Xianxia: the Alzer, Ling Tianhu, Master Void, and the strange humanoid thing from the collapsed celestial burial pool. The human-like thing looked very gentle and calm as it floated next to Xianxia. It was as if Xianxia was its owner. The moment Wang Lin saw this, was like a bolt of lightning had struck him. Before, he didn't link it with the ancient devil, but after seeing this, he had a guess. The end of the month, wishing for the like button for the video, don't hold back, it's expiring. Chapter. Ancient gods had moongazer serpents in their bodies, and the ancient devils had something similar. The human-shaped thing was obviously that. This thing didn't exist before the ancient gods died, but it somehow was released during the struggle between the ancient devil and the celestial emperor. After it got separated, it somehow went into the ancient god skull deep under the celestial burial pool. Although Master Void was standing behind ancient devil Xianxia, he was in an extremely strange state. His eyes were filled with madness, and there was a rune on his forehead emitting powerful devilish energy. It was obviously a seal, but Wang Lin could clearly see Master Void's life force rapidly dissipating. He was on the brink of death. Ling Tianhua's expression revealed a complex gaze, and he subconsciously avoided Wang Lin's gaze. He looked to the side, and no one knew what he was thinking. The most unpredictable was, of course, the Ulcer. The Ulcer's expression was calm, just like it was when he entered the cave. His eyes were clear, as if he had seen through everything. When Wang Lin looked at him, he revealed a smile. When Wang Lin saw the Ulcer and company appear, he let out a sigh. He knew that the blood on the restrictions would only affect the ancient devil Xianxia and was useless on everyone else. However, this was the first floor of the Celestial Emperor cave, so it wasn't difficult to leave. But for some reason he had always felt in his heart that there was something weird about everything he had experienced just now, but he couldn't tell what was wrong. There was a hint that something bad was going to happen. When he saw the Ulcer behind ancient devil Xianxia, that feeling became even stronger. In truth, everything that had just happened had happened far too quickly for him to think. Looking back, it seemed like everything they had done was forced by the ancient devil. It was as if everything was intentionally planned out by the ancient devil. The kind of terrifying feeling that the All-Seer gave people surrounded Wang Lin's heart. He rapidly retreated while pondering. Si-Tu Nan kept an eye on Wang Lin. When he saw Wang Lin retreat, he headed toward Wang Lin and retreated with him. Wang Wei and Hu Huan also did the same. At this instant, all the surrounding cultivators rushed to leave. The Ulcer revealed a smile and then raised his finger and pointed. There was a flash of gray gas, and the gray-robed Ulcer appeared. He coldly stared at his original body and let out a cold snort, but then he charged at the restrictions. Endless slaughter energy appeared and charged into the restrictions. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the restrictions began to light up. However, the restrictions weren't only placed by Wang Lin. Wang Wei and Hu Huan had also placed them. Hu Huan's restrictions were far more powerful than Wang Lin's, so the restrictions here weren't something the gray-robed All-Seer could easily break. This bought everyone time. While Wang Wei retreated, he pointed up, and a pillar of water appeared and turned into a giant. The giant waved its giant first and hit directly above, causing large amounts of rocks to fall. Hu Huan didn't leave but stood in the distance, placing down large amounts of restrictions and reinforcing their strength. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and his hand formed seals, and he used spells to attack the sky with Wang Wei. The surrounding cultivators didn't hesitate, and all attacked as well. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the first floor of the cave. And at this moment, in the space outside the demon spirit land, the 6 Nirvana Shatterer cultivators sat across from each other, with their hands forming seals as they chanted. They would occasionally raise their fingers to point at the vermilion bird's true spirit, which caused the flames around it to become even stronger. A moment later, the vermilion bird true spirit suddenly let out a cry and a sea of flames spread out. The flames had no effect on members of the vermilion bird divine sect, but they would destroy any cultivators or any dust that divine sense couldn't see. As the flames spread, all the dust was burned to nothing, leaving only one dust particle that hadn't collapsed. This was the location of the demon spirit land. A flame began to burn on the only remaining dust particle, revealing this location to everyone. The vermilion bird's true spirit let out a cry and charged at this speck of dust. Endless rumbles echoed as the vermilion bird's true spirit smashed into the seal on this dust particle. Every time it collided, the seal would loosen a bit. The 6 Nirvana Shatterer cultivators all began using spells to bombard the dust particle. The seal that was personally left by Qing Lin before the celestial realm collapsed trembled even more violently. The external impacts clearly transmitted into the demon spirit land, causing the entire place to tremble violently. Even the people inside the cave clearly felt these trembles. However, no one paid any attention to them. As everyone attacked, the barrier between the Celestial Emperor cave and the demon spirit land suddenly collapsed. The moment the barrier broke, the gray-robed Ulcer broke through Hu Huan's restrictions. Hu Huan's face was pale as Wang Wei pulled her back, and they charged out of the broken barrier. Ancient Devil Tajia stepped out. He then let out a grim smile and suddenly inhaled. Suddenly, endless devilish energy came out of his mouth and turned into roaring black dragons. The second brother of the three Chen brothers was caught by the black dragons. There was despair in his eyes as he was devoured by the ancient devil. Wang Lin wanted to save him, but he was too late. One of the female disciples of the beautiful woman was caught by the black dragon and was pulled back. Even Xianxia had a pale face and was about to be caught by the black dragon. At this moment, the girl in pink covered by the snowstorm arrived and pulled Xianxia out toward the exit. The black dragon arrived and collided with the snowstorm, causing her to cough out blood. The snowflake treasure had protected her from countless attacks, and at this moment it couldn't withstand them anymore. It cracked and shattered. However, the girl in pink pulled Xianxia and charged out. Big Head and company managed to charge out with the help of Situ Na and Master Hollow Wind, along with the woman in silver, who Wang Lin had taken out of his bag. However, the danger wasn't over. Ancient Devil Tajia stepped out and his right hand mercilessly reached forward and squeezed. With this squeeze, everyone who had just escaped the cave to the demon's spirit land immediately felt a powerful pressure surrounding them. Xianxia had the lowest cultivation level, so she coughed out blood and her whole body collapsed. Even the girl in pink trembled, and her body collapsed as well. However, there was a treasure from the brilliant void realm in her origin soul. This treasure shined, and then its light surrounded her and Xianxia's origin souls. However, the two girls' origin souls were seriously injured, and under the protection of the light from the treasure, they began to fuse. It was not only the two of them. Among the remaining two Chen brothers, the third brother's body also collapsed. Master Yi Chen quickly saved his third brother's origin soul and escaped. Although Lei Ji's cultivation was ordinary, his physical body was very strong, but half of his body collapsed. The remaining half was saved by Big Head, who luckily had taken no damage during this moment of crisis. As for Master Hollow Wind and Situ Nan, both were at the Nirvana cleanser stage, so while they were seriously injured and coughed out blood, their bodies didn't collapse. However, Situ Nan's expression became strange. The poison in his body had activated due to the serious injuries. The ancient devil's spell originally could have annihilated everyone here. The reason it didn't was largely due to Wang Wei and Hu Huan. The moment the ancient devil used the spell, they quickly used their own spells to interfere, and they withstood a majority of the attack. The reason they did this was because they knew there were people here that were close to Wang Lin. They had to repay Wang Lin. Wang Lin had also helped resist this spell. He shared this blow with Wang Wei and Hu Huan. He coughed out blood and was extremely weak. His origin soul was seriously injured and began to rapidly dissipate. Although he had endless fire origin energy inside his body, it didn't stop his origin soul from dissipating. Not even the ancient god leather armor could do much against these constant injuries. After all, Wang Lin's enemy was an ancient devil that had possessed Qing Lin's body. Wang Lin didn't hesitate and took out the pill Wang Wei had gifted him. He crushed the pill and swallowed it. This pill was indeed miraculous. His origin soul stopped dissipating and rapidly healed. Wang Wei and Hu Huan's expressions were also bad, and blood came out from the corners of their mouths. The couple revealed bitter smiles, but their eyes were filled with determination. Wang Lin, the two of us will use our lives to stall the ancient devil. Forget about resurrecting teacher. If you have the chance in the future, save Qing Shuang for us. Wang Wei's right hand reached at the void before him and a crack appeared, and then he threw Zhou Yi out. The two of us have lived for too long and have entered the cave many times. However, due to various reasons, we never got close. I didn't expect such a thing would happen when we got close. Wang Wei had a complex expression. At this moment, ancient Devil Tajia slowly walked out from the barrier, and he looked up at the sky. There was a hint of excitement in his eyes, and he began to laugh like crazy. Qing Lin, in order to prevent me from successfully escaping, you made it so your body couldn't break any of the restrictions in the cave. But this devil merely used an illusion, and all these people that came to save you broke all the restrictions you set to stop me. Ancient Devil Tajia clenched his fist as he looked at this world. The excitement in his eyes became even stronger. After he spoke, Wang Wei and Hu Huan's faces suddenly turned pale. Wang Lin gasped. He finally understood the bad feeling he had in his heart. He looked at the ancient devil and his pupils shrank. Now let me show you my real power. Tajia raised his right hand as he laughed. His eyes were filled with a crazy amount of bloodthirst. Just at this instant, the entire earth trembled, and even the sky distorted. An illusion appeared in the sky. This was the illusion of a palace within a sea of purple flowers. Ancient devil, you can break one of my husband's plans, but you didn't know that by stepping outside, you enter the second rule my husband set for you. A cold and beautiful voice echoed across the world. A woman in white gradually walked out from the illusionary palace that appeared in the sky. Flower Imperial Concubine. Wang Lin suddenly looked at the sky. At the same moment, the seal on the dust particle where the demon spirit land was had loosened under the constant attacks of the vermilion bird's true spirit. It could be broken at any time. At the same time, a law similar to the change between day and night on a planet shined on the dust particle the demon spirit land was in it arrived during sunrise. A grand chapter. Not caring to read 4,500 words, can bear to split it into 2 chapters. As the donkey dies a martyr, tears flow wishing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1071. Arrival. The illusion of the palace in the sky above the demon spirit land gradually turned from an illusion into solid form. It was as if it had teleported from Qing Lin's cave. The moment the Flower Imperial Concubine walked out from the palace, the entire palace and the thousands of purple flowers around it shrank and became a palm-sized hairpin. She closed her jade-like hands and the hairpin disappeared, fusing into her body. She lighted her gentle hand that could cause most people's hearts to pound. The Flower Imperial Concubine looked at ancient devil Tajia with melancholy and sadness in her eyes. They were so close, but they hadn't met since they separated countless years ago. Now that she was able to finally meet him, it was like seeing the moon in the water or the flower in the mirror. It was not the same soul as back then. It was like standing by the river and looking across. Below you there is the blue river and across is the green mountain. However, after you cross the river, you that find something is lacking the green mountain and blue river are still there, but there is one thing missing, the soul. Ancient devil Tajia's eyes shined red as he looked at the Flower Imperial Concubine with greed and bloodlust. Then he laughed. I have long heard that Qing Lin was flooded with good fortune, and that all his 8 of imperial concubines were all extremely beautiful women. In particular, the Flower Imperial Concubine was above the rest. It was said that she came from the Wind Celestial Realm and was the little sister Wind Celestial Emperor Lan Yun. Back then, I missed the chance to get a look, but looking at you today, it seems the rumors were indeed true. Although your husband Qing Lin is dead, his body is still there. Simply become this devil's flower concubine and become a cultivation furnace. Won't that be a joy? Tajia laughed as he stepped forward and reached out with his right hand. Although ancient devil Tajia laughed, he was filled with caution. He wasn't afraid of the Flower Imperial Concubine, but his fear of Qing Lin was too strong. According to her, Qing Lin had already prepared for failure and had left more plans. The appearance of the Flower Imperial Concubine was obviously one of Qing Lin's plans. Qing Lin was the most powerful celestial emperor. He was so powerful that even people from the outer realm knew his name. In addition to his powerful cultivation, he was able to calculate the future as if he was the heavens themselves, and he never missed a thing. As ancient devil Tajia moved, the demon spirit land suddenly trembled. Black fog appeared in the sky and spread out. As Tajia's right hand reached out, and the black fog condensed into a giant arm that reached for the Flower Imperial Concubine. At the same time, the human-shaped thing next to Tajia coldly looked at everyone and locked onto Wang Lin. In a flash, it charged at Wang Lin, and before it even got close to Wang Lin, sonic booms could already be heard. Master Void's condition was extremely bad. Although he was standing there, his breathing was very difficult. Even if you were at a distance, you could hear him trying to breathe. This was no longer the sound a person could make. It was as if he was a beast. What was even more terrifying was that not only was his breathing rough, even drool was dripping down the side of his mouth. This drool was very thick, so it stretched out like silk. It was enough to make you feel nauseous just by looking at it. His eyes were swelled, and his bloodshot eyes were sluggish yet filled with madness. His already old appearance no longer looked human, and his facial features were twisted together as if he had gone crazy. He also stared at Wang Lin. His last trace of memory was his hatred and killing intent toward Wang Lin. Master Void let out a roar as he shot toward Wang Lin closely after the human-shaped thing. The ulcer still looked calm, and his eyes revealed a gaze that made seem like everything was clear and normal. It was as if this trip to the Celestial Emperor Cave was all within his calculations. Ling Tianhu still had his head lowered and was struggling. He had a complex expression along with a dazed look, and most of all, guilt. The human-shaped thing and Master Void were naturally blocked by the celestial cloud couple. However, they were both injured, and the human-shaped thing was extremely strange, so it was difficult for a winner to be decided quickly. Master Void was breathing hard, and when Wang Wei and Hu Wan tried to block him, he became even more crazy. His target was Wang Lin, and if anyone dared to block him, he would charge without any care for the repercussions. The moment Wang Wei closed in, Master Void let out a roar and all the flesh on his body moved. It was very strange. Wang Wei's expression changed and he retreated without hesitation. However, just as he retreated, Master Void opened his mouth and spat out a large mouthful of black blood. This black blood gave off a powerful stench, and Master Void trembled after coughing it out. That was a majority of the blood inside Master Void's body. After the large amount of blood was spat out, it seemed to have intelligence, and it formed a net that charged after Wang Wei. Wang Wei's right hand formed a seal while he retreated, and he pointed forward. With a bang, an ice mountain appeared out of thin air. The ice mountain suddenly appeared and immediately blocked the black blood. However, the blood seemed to contain extreme heat, so the moment it touched the ice mountain began to melt. It also dyed the entire ice mountain black. Wang Lin, this is the first of the 5 Heaven-S Blight Peak Nirvana Shatterer Cultivator's face, Body Blight. His body will continue to deteriorate until his soul dies. Wang Wei wanted to continue blocking, but due to previous injuries, Hu Wan was constantly pushed back by the human-shaped thing. At this moment of crisis, Wang Wei waved his hand and a large amount of icebergs appeared before Wang Lin. Then he charged toward Hu Wan to help her block the human-shaped thing. Without anyone blocking him, Master Void jumped at Wang Lin with drool and black blood leaking from his mouth. His eyes were filled with madness. At this moment, he no longer looked like the elder of the alliance. He was obviously an ugly beast. Looking at Master Void, Wang Lin was shocked. He wasn't shocked by Master Void's arrival, but by the 5 Heaven-S blights he kept hearing about recently. This is the first Heaven-S blight. After one reaches the second step, their lifespan is almost limitless. If they absorb the world's origin energy, it can be transformed into endless vitality. However, how could the heavens allow something to exist as long as itself? The 5 Heaven-S blights were the boundless calamities that Nirvana Shatterer cultivators had to face. It wasn't that cultivators who didn't reach the Nirvana Shatterer stage would be fine. There would be even more terrifying calamities awaiting the ones that didn't. At this moment, Master Void rushed in with heavy breathing and closed in on the iceberg. He opened his mouth to spit again, but this time there wasn't much blood left. Aside from the foul smell, there were pieces of rotten innards. The moment the giant hand formed by the black fog from Xianxia closed in, she lifted her jade-like hand, and a sphere immediately appeared at the tip of her finger. There was a cloud of gas inside the sphere, and countless illusion of flowers appeared within it. The moment the giant hand closed in, the small sphere collided with it. The giant hand unexpectedly collapsed into endless black fog and was pushed back. Ancient Devil Xianxia's pupil shrank. He let out a cold snort and then charged at the flower Imperial Concubine. Both of his hands moved to form a seal, and the world immediately changed colors. As the wind blew, the black fog covering the sky began to gather and formed blobs of black fog. The moment those blobs of black fog appeared, they began to move. I believe you must be very familiar with this spell. Ancient Devil Xianxia laughed as his right hand mercilessly grasped at the sky and he shouted, "Star Burial!" After he spoke, the countless blobs of black fog began to move even more than before and suddenly turned into spheres. These spheres emitted bright starlight. It was currently night, but with the endless starlight coming from the spheres, the land was completely bright. The star burial of my husband's sun, moon, and star spell the flower Imperial Concubine revealed a complex gaze, but she shook her head and softly said, however, with gesture power, "You can display the true power of my husband's spell." Xianxia sneered and waved his right hand. The spheres formed by the black fog emitting the starlight became even more dazzling. Then these spheres transformed from incorporeal into corporeal forms. The rays of light crossed and filled the sky. As Tajia waved his hand, the endless starlight gathered and descended toward the flower imperial concubine. It was as if it wanted to bury the flower imperial concubine here. If my husband used this star burial celestial spell, he could extract the power of this star system and use a spell that could fill up the entire star system. Battling 10,000 people or 100,000 people would the same. If he was facing just one person, then that person would have to withstand the power of the entire star system. There was a hint of disdain as she looked at the starlight falling from the sky. She formed a seal with her right hand and spat out a mouthful of fragrance that turned into 9 balls. There was source origin energy inside these 9 balls, and they floated around the flower imperial concubine like a formation. The moment the formation appeared, the starlight gathered on her body. At this moment, the location she was at became the brightest spot in the star system. At the same time, in the space outside the demon spirit land, as the Vermilion Bird S True Spirit and the Vermilion Bird Divine Sect continued to attack the seal on the demon spirit land, the seal finally began to collapse. Along with it, the entire sky of the demon spirit land collapsed. The sky collapsed inch by inch as if it was the seal itself. It collapsed and was replaced with the starry sky. The Vermilion Bird Divine Sect arrived. Big brothers and little sisters, do you still have likes for the video? Wishing for the like button for the video to help. Chapter 1072. The most powerful spell, Sundered Night. For the first time, the Alzer frowned slightly. Everything that had happened within the Celestial Emperor Cave had been within his calculations. He also knew that although the trip within the cave seemed simple, every step contained plans left by Celestial Emperor Wang Lin. The Alzer rushing into here meant that he had become part of the Celestial Emperor's plan. Just thinking about how he was indirectly competing with Celestial Emperor Wang Lin made his eternally calm heart pound rapidly. Was the former Celestial Emperor really omnipotent, or was the Alzer a step above? He didn't know the answer, but this chance was extremely precious for the Alzer. Once he succeed, his Tao heart would grow by leaps and bounds. The powerful self-confidence and momentum of beating Celestial Emperor Wang Lin's plan would allow him to recover from the injuries of the past and advance even further. Even if he failed, it would still be a fortune for the All-Seer. He could use this plan that he had calculated for countless years to comprehend everything he needed to. In order to get this opportunity, he was willing to pay any price. What about ancient Devil Tajia or the Cultivation Alliance? Even if he had to cause a catastrophe, it wouldn't stop the All-Seer's Tao heart. Everyone else wanted Celestial Emperor Wang Lin's body or spells. Some even wanted to find the secret of the third step. Others might think he was crazy, but what he wanted was to battle Wang Lin with a war of predictions. Since you wanted to seal the Ancient Devil and set many plans to deal with the Ancient Devil in the future, I'll destroy all of this. The Ancient Devil is merely my tool to have a battle with Celestial Emperor Wang Lin. No one could guess what the All-Seer was thinking. If there was one person, it would be Ling Tianhu. However, within the Celestial Emperor Cave, Wang Lin's first Vermilion Bird awakening was something outside of the All-Seer's plan. From that moment on, the Alzer felt a sense of pressure. In his original plan, Ancient Devil Tajia would take his advice and use an illusion to confuse everyone. This made everyone that entered his helper in breaking the plan Wang Lin had laid out on the first floor. However, the All-Seer would have never thought that damn Wang Lin would awaken a second time. The moment Wang Lin's second awakening occurred, countless unpredictable variables appeared in the All-Seer's plan. At this moment, the change in the sky caused the All-Seer's expression to become gloomy. He took a deep breath. The All-Seer understood that he had to personally act now. His eyes suddenly closed, and at this moment, 7 colored lights shined from his body. Then gray was added, and as a result, 8 colors appeared. These 8 colors flickered, and then suddenly 8 different avatars wearing different colored robes walked out. The gray-robed All-Seer was one of them. Although the 8 All-Seers looked the same, they all had different auras. They immediately scattered toward Wang Lin and the Celestial Cloud couple. 3 of them charged toward the collapsed sky. At the same time, the Flower Imperial Concubine was surrounded by starlight, and with a bang, the starlight was pushed away. She walked out from within the 9 balls. Although they had dimmed quite a bit, her expression was still calm. Ancient Devil Tajia looked at the sky and revealed a serious expression. His hand reached out, and the large black blade appeared in his hand. Holding the blade, he faced not the flower imperial concubine, but the sky, and slashed his sword, sending a ray of blade energy at the sky. The flower imperial concubine revealed a smile. The moment the change occurred in the sky, she knew that what Qing Lin had said back then had come true. The person who saves me will be named Wang. When the celestial spirit heaven realm collapses, I will have a chance to awaken. At this moment, ancient Devatajia's blade energy charged into the sky, and the flower imperial concubine's body gradually disappeared. When she reappeared, she was in the sky before the blade energy. She took a deep breath, and then the 9 balls charged forward to collide with the blade energy. A thunderous rumble echoed, and the powerful impact caused her to retreat. Killing intent flashed across Tajia's eyes, and then he charged at the flower imperial concubine. As for Wang Lin, when the All-Seer's avatar arrived, he was put into a dangerous situation, especially with Master Void's crazy attack. The glacier Wang Wei had placed didn't last. It collapsed, and Master Void charged like crazy toward Wang Lin. There was also the All-Seer's avatar. The gray-robed All-Seer was the fastest. He was closing in on Wang Lin with an indifferent expression. In addition, there were 2 more All-Seer avatars closely behind the gray-robed All-Seer. The 4 powerhouses all contained powerful cultivation. Now they all charged at Wang Lin, causing his pupils to shrink, and he quickly retreated. Just at this instant, the sky suddenly collapsed, and the law of origin in the sky entered the demon spirit land. The moment the sky collapsed, it was like a mirror being shattered. The broken fragments were hit by the impact of the flames and pushed downwards. Behind the fragments, a heaven-shaking vermilion bird cry from the vermilion bird's true spirit echoed across the entire demon spirit land. However, due to the crisis Wang Lin was facing, he didn't have time to look up at the sky. But as he retreated, he felt a familiar power of law appear around him. This familiar power of law was what Wang Lin had comprehended after sitting on the mountain peak for a few months on planet Water Spirit. It was also the power of his first self-created spell, Sundered Night. The Sundered Night born from the sea. At this moment, even while facing the attack of Master Void and 3 of the All-Seer's avatars, Wang Lin stopped without hesitation when he felt this power. His eyes were filled with madness as he raised his arms and stared at the 4 of them. Then the law that had just appeared seemed to be attracted by something and rushed at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's mind thoroughly entered a mysterious state, and everything before him disappeared. The only thing in his mind was that moment of beginning, when he comprehended the force that tore the darkness of the night apart. The pupils of the gray-robed All-Seer, who was chasing after Wang Lin, suddenly shrank, and his eyes revealed a trace of shock. Not only him, but the other 2 All-Seer avatars were also startled, as they looked at Wang Lin with disbelief. This is the gray-robed All-Seer gasped. Only Master Void was completely unaware of all this. Although his body looked real, it was formed by his origin soul during his first heaven-esque blight. Whether it was the blood or guts, they were all formed by his origin soul. When it finally decayed, his origin soul would be destroyed as well. He was lost in madness as he charged out. He pounced at Wang Lin with only the thought of devouring Wang Lin. However, just when he was within hundreds of feet of Wang Lin completely disappeared from his eyes. The entire world unexpectedly became night. Even the sea of flames that had fallen from the sky when it shattered disappeared. It was as if at this moment, Wang Lin was no longer in the demon spirit land, but in a boundless independent space. Not only was the sky completely dark, but the sound of waves moving was entering your ears. Even the gray-robed All-Seer and the other 2 avatars were in this endless night. No matter how much their divine senses spread out, they couldn't find a trace of Wang Lin. It was as if Wang Lin had completely merged with the law of the world, and it was impossible to find a single trace of him. The surroundings were completely quiet aside from the sound of the raging waves. It was so real, it was terrifying. Looking ahead, one could vaguely see that they were in a vast and boundless sea. The waves were not raging but slowly rising up and down. The wind blew by, carrying the smell of the sea. All of this made it hard for people to believe it was not real. Master Void's angry roar echoed across the quiet sea. Being unable to find Wang Lin made him go crazy. He continued to attack the sea, setting off powerful waves. The gray-robed All-Seer looked ahead, and a feeling of fear he hadn't felt for countless years appeared. This was a very unfamiliar feeling for him, but he couldn't help but feel it. He vaguely learned something, but the more he learned, the more shocked he became, and his eyelids twitched uncontrollably. Just at this moment, a red light appeared in the distance. The moment the red light appeared, never before seen fear appeared in the gray-robed Alzir's eyes. He recognized it as the power of law, and he couldn't believe Wang Lin possessed it. The gray-robed Alzir retreated without any hesitation. His scalp was numb, but no matter how much he ran, he was still above the sea. The red glow from the horizon became even brighter, and what appeared before everyone was the fiery red sun. The sun was completely red, and the waves raged below it. At this moment, almost everyone saw an illusion showing that their bodies had dissipated and turned into the endless night sky. Even the crazed Master Void was startled, and he unexpectedly awakened from his confused state. However, his eyes were soon filled with unimaginable horror. Love Origin. When he was at the mid-stage of Nirvana Scryer, he comprehended the law of the world and created Sundered Night. Right now, Wang Lin's cultivation level was far above what it was back then, at the peak Nirvana Scryer and only one step away from Nirvana Cleanser. At his current cultivation level, if he were to cast this spell that he could only use during the rare moments, the law of origin revealed itself. Not even Wang Lin knew how powerful it would be. Just in time to keep the manuscript, tonight's update might not be timely. If there's no second watch tonight, Leo will supplement tomorrow. However, Leo will try his best to finish today. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 1073 All Out. The sound of the waves continued to enter the ears of the four people here. This sound seemed to contain a strange rhythm and seemed to contain the law of the world. However, as the sound the waves echoed, the gray-robed Alzir's mouth felt dry. He wasn't the only one. The other two avatars felt the same. In fact, they were even worse off, and fear grew within their hearts at an uncontrollable rate. Master Void had completely awakened when he looked at the bright red sun appearing over the horizon. Although only a small portion of the sun was exposed, the dazzling light was like swords that wanted to tear the night apart. He who was within the night was like part of the night and would be destroyed with it. This was the power of Sundered Night. Time seemed to last for forever, but it also felt like it only took an instant for the sun to rise up. The moment the sun went up, an unimaginable force appeared. This was the power of the rising sun that could destroy anything blocking it. It also completely displayed the power of that sliver of law of origin. The dark night was forcibly torn apart. This power was strong enough to reverse the world, shake the heavens, and cause the night to collapse. The shattered night would be blown away and the world would be covered with light. It also contained Wang Lin's monstrous killing intent. It contained Wang Lin's unwillingness that was born after being hunted throughout the Celestial Emperor Cave and becoming a helper to the All-Seer and Ancient. Devil Tajia's plan in the end. It also contained the suppressed anger that he had been holding this whole time. Wang Lin's 2 vermilion bird awakenings caused an unimaginable heat to appear. This heat was far stronger than anything Wang Lin's spell could produce. Thanks to the law of origin, Wang Lin's Sundered Night was able to harvest the moment of intense heat from the rising sun and magnify it to an unimaginable degree. The sun that rose from the sea released unprecedented golden light and incredible heat. It wasn't as simple as just tearing the night apart. It was going to completely crush everything and burn everything to ashes. The first person to face Wang Lin's Sundered Night was Master Void, who was the closest. The sunlight swept across the earth along with the extreme heat. Master Void was already dying, and his origin soul was dissipating form, failing his first heaven's blight. If not for the seal ancient devil Tajia had placed on him, Master Void would have been long dead. At this moment, under the boundless sunlight, the night was torn and Master Void's face turned pale. His body was formed by the first heaven's blight, and at this moment, both of his legs collapsed into mist. However, the mist immediately dissipated without a trace due to the bright sunlight. But the current him couldn't feel pain. The only thing that he felt was the boundless fear and the feeling of disbelief. After his legs collapsed, the ancient devil mark between his eyebrows only lasted a moment before dissipating as well. After it dissipated, Master Void let out a miserable scream and his body dissipated, but he tried to back away. However, this world was very large. Not even the night could escape the power of sundered night, so how could Master Void? No matter how far he retreated, he couldn't escape death. As he retreated, the sunlight rushed forward. Master Void's screams echoed as the sunlight pierced through his body. He vanished with a miserable smile and was filled with despair. Master Void was a powerful peak Nirvana Shatterer cultivator with a high status within the Alliance. And he was even the junior brother of Master Xianxia. He was once so famous, yet he couldn't escape the reincarnation cycle, the first heaven's blight, and the consequences of his own ill actions. Master Void disappeared with endless regret and an urge to live. All of this happened in an instant. At the instant the sun rose, Master Void died. Without pausing, the light tore apart the night and swept toward the gray-robed Alser and the other two Alser avatars. At this instant, the gray-robed Alser felt the pain of being torn apart from every part of his body. Even his independent origin soul was wrapped in this power. He had never felt this kind of pain before. It was as if every part of his body was being torn to pieces. A powerful sense of life and death crisis filled his heart. He suppressed the fear in his heart, and then let out a roar and opened his arms. A monstrous amount of origin energy spread out from his body and turned into endless slaughter energy. This slaughter energy was endless and covered the entire sky. The roar of the slaughter energy tried to suppress the sound of the sea. It also tried to suppress the power of this sundered night that was enough to make him almost lose his wits. Not just him, but the other two All-Seer avatars turned pale and used their own spells. The yellow-robed Alser rotated rapidly. His body turned into a storm and he charged into the sky. The sky suddenly changed colors and countless yellow ripples appeared in the darkness. Then the heavenly fate finger came crashing down. The yellow-robed Alser was the one that possessed the law of heavenly fate. At this moment, as he roared, the giant finger carried an aura that could make all mortals bow down and worship as it charged at the rising sun. He wanted to destroy this sun. The purple-robed Alzer's hand formed a seal, and a purple mist appeared behind him. The purple mist rose into the air and fused with the night. Even the purple-robed Alser fused with the night. In an instant, there was a hint of purple within the night, and hideous figures walked out one by one. They all looked different, and there were men and women among them. They looked like angry ghosts that had been trapped in hell. The moment they walked out, they let out loud hisses and roars. These people who were the people devoured in the heavenly fate sect over the countless years. However, the moment their spells appeared, they were pierced by the sunlight just like the darkness of the night. The evil figures that came out of the purple night all charged toward the sun, but before the burning sun, they were torn apart. They were like moths rushing into the flame. Some began to burn as they were pierced by the sunlight and were torn apart. It only took a moment for them to dissipate completely. The purple-robed Alzer was forced out from the night with a twisted expression. His face was pale, and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. His pupils shrank violently, and the terror in his heart reached an extreme. As for the heavenly fate finger, it carried powerful momentum as it charged for the sun. However, before it got close, it was swept by the sunlight, and popping sounds came from inside it. It also began burning, and the fire rapidly spread. In just a moment, the finger collapsed just like the night. Law of origin, the origin of all law in the universe. The yellow-robed Alseer had a pale expression. He felt pain from his body and blood came out from all of his orifices. He coughed out a mouthful of blood and revealed a miserable smile. Then the gray-robed Alzer's countless slaughter energy charged at the sun like fierce dragons. However, the sunlight caused the stands of cold slaughter energy to dissipate one by one. Even those that didn't dissipate were torn apart by the sun. The gray-robed Alzer's face was pale, but his eyes were ferocious. He had independent will and knew that if he didn't give it his all, he might die under this spell. Going all out, the gray-robed Alzer's hand formed a seal and pointed to his body. Popping sounds came from his body and his eyes turned completely red. Then a ray light flew out from his forehead. It was a crimson blood sword. This blood sword was the root of all the slaughter energy he had cultivated, and the source of slaughter. The moment the blood sword appeared, the world was enveloped in endless killing intent. The gray-robed Alzer pointed, and the blood sword charged at the sun like a bolt of thunder. The yellow-robed Alzer also let out a roar, and his hands spread out as he charged into the sky. In the blink of an eye, his head turned into a thumb, his arm turned into the index and middle fingers, his legs turned into the ring finger and pinky, then his body turned into the palm. He turned into an unimaginably large palm. This palm was like the heavenly fate finger, only even more powerful, and it contained all the power inside the yellow-robed ulcer. As this palm charged at the sun, it opened its hand, and it was about to ruthlessly grab it. The purple-robed ulcer also wiped the blood from his mouth, and his eyes were filled with madness. When he moved, something strange happened. Thousands of shadows appeared behind him. They were like afterimages that he left behind because he was moving too fast. However, every single shadow was different. As the purple-robed ulcer closed in on the sun, each of the shadows fused with his body. As he got closer to the sun, the purple-robed ulcer's aura was monstrous. The three of them were already as desperate as trapped beasts. If they couldn't break this spell that was making them lose their wits, they'd have no chance of survival. Reading so much. Besides the golden keyboard is active, I ask everyone to support a bit more, not just words of support. I'm afraid I can't even carry the last three. Chapter 1074, The Supreme S-Power. Just as the three all-seers attacked, a figure appeared in the sun. It was Wang Lin. Wang Lin was the sun, and bursts of golden light came from his body. The sea below revealed the demon spirit land as if everything before them was trapped between real and unreal. As Wang Lin coldly looked at the arrival of those three, he raised his hand and waved. He then calmly said one thing. Sundered night. The moment sundered night came from Wang Lin's mouth, a rumble echoed across the world, and the sun rose completely above the ocean. A force that could tear the night surged out without reservation. The endless sunlight swept forward like crazy. The law of origin moved with it and flooded the world. The sundered night was born from the sea. The rapidly moving purple-robed ulcer that had thousands of shadows fused with it came crashing into the sundered night. The endless sunlight and intense heat would destroy everything before it as if it was the dark night. There were no exceptions. Unimaginable pain came from the purple-robed ulcer's body. His arms turned into a mist of blood and dissipated, followed by his legs and a large part of this body. In just a moment, the purple-robed ulcer collapsed. As he collapsed, countless shadows came out of his body. Those shadows all hissed and pounced at Wang Lin inside the sun. However, they were like snowflakes under the sun. They all melted without a trace. The giant palm formed by the yellow-robed ulcer came crashing down. Not even the sun could penetrate the palm, and it came reaching for Wang Lin inside the sun. Wang Lin was still calm, and he sneered even though the palm grabbed a hold of the sun that surrounded his body. However, the moment the palm grabbed the sun, a miserable palm came from the palm. The yang fire that could burn anything swept across the palm, causing it to tremble, and the palm immediately transformed back into the yellow-robed ulcer. The yellow-robed ulcer looked like he was hugging the sun, but in just a few breaths of time, he was on fire, and the only thing left was the remains. The blood sword released by the gray-robed ulcer charged forward, breaking through everything in an act of desperation. It immediately stabbed into the blazing sun. At this instant, a monstrous slaughter energy came out from the blood sword and collided with the intense heat and sunlight from the sun. The gray-robed ulcer let out a roar and his right eye suddenly collapsed. The moment his right eye collapsed, the blood sword's power increased several-fold. The flames wrapped around it were all forced back, and even the sunlight around it was shattered. The impact from the blood sword immediately broke through a majority of the sun and was only 10 feet away from Wang Lin. The gray-robed ulcer let out another roar, and then his left eye shattered as well. The blood sword became even more powerful and was able to pierce through the sun. It headed straight for Wang Lin. With the gray-robed ulcer's desperate attack, the night that was torn apart seemed to unexpectedly condense once more. It seemed like it wanted to devour the sun. The blood sword charged through the sun and directly pierced into Wang Lin's chest. However, when it was halfway through his chest, Wang Lin caught the sword with his right hand. He was forced back several steps and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. Then his head jerked up and he revealed a ferocious expression. Old thing, you almost killed me by making me cultivate the celestial slaughter art. Today, die for me! As Wang Lin roared, the sun around his body unexpectedly exploded and quickly spread out with him as the center. This was the self-destruction of the sun, and the power contained within was unimaginable. It was as if the sky was cracked open and pushed back. The sea began to rage and the ground collapsed. The destructive force in the world reached a terrifying degree when the sun exploded. The gray-robed Allseer was the closest, so he took the brunt of the force. He only had time to form a seal and place his hand before him. He huddled together like a baby before he was swept by this insane power. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The remnant night that was beginning to reform collapsed completely. At this moment, the sky and earth disappeared. The only thing that remained was the chaos from the collapse of the blazing sun. However, in just a moment, the world disappeared. The sea disappeared, the sun disappeared, and even the shattered sky disappeared. Everything disappeared without a trace, and what appeared before them was the demon spirit land. It was as if everything that had just happened was just a dream. The sky was still red and filled with fire. The vermilion bird cry pierced through the flames and came closer and closer. However, the shocking gazes of everyone on the ground were enough to explain that everything that had just happened was real. The gray-robed Allseer continued to dissipate until he was only a sliver of will. In a flash, he returned back to the Allseer's original body. Sundered Night had killed 3 people. These 3 people were not ordinary people. They were Master Void and 2 of the Allseer's avatars. Even the gray-robe was seriously injured, and only a sliver of his will remained. Ling Tianho trembled. Before, he only dreaded Wang Lin. Even though that giant palm had brought him some fear, it didn't leave him terrified like he was now. He would never guessed that Wang Lin's spell would become this powerful. What is his cultivation level? This kind of spell is unheard of. The Allseer's face turned pale, and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. He was forced back several steps, and his head jerked up to look at Wang Lin. Out of his 3 avatars, 2 were destroyed, and the gray-robed one was now only a sliver of will. This was a rare blow that he hadn't suffered in countless years, and now he was also injured. However, the injuries to his body and origin soul were insignificant compared to his calculations. He had been wrong multiple times with Wang Lin, and it was a serious blow to his confidence. No one noticed, but his body was trembling. He was trembling because of that spell. The Allseer was immediately able to see that it was the law of origin, the origin of all laws. It was not something a cultivator could master, and its power was unimaginable. He destroyed 3 of my avatars. Wang Lin, the biggest mistake I made was accepting you as my disciple and giving you the chance to leave planet Suzaku. The Allseer was gnashing his teeth. He took deep breath before he suppressed the shock in his mind and forced himself to calm down. He wasn't the only one. Situnan, Big Head, Master Hollow Wind, and everyone else was also stunned. Master Hollow Wind was slightly less shocked as he had experienced Sundered Night before. His scalp felt numb and fear lingered in his heart. Even Wang Wei and Hu Huan gasped. They looked at each other and could see the shock and terror in each other's eyes. Just now, they were also pulled into that illusion, only it was as if they were placed in a separate space. They could only watch but not help. They weren't even the ones that were most shocked by this. It was ancient devil Xianxia, who was charging into the sky with his blade, and the Flower Imperial Concubine. The Flower Imperial Concubine looked at Wang Lin with eyes filled with reminiscence and fear. What made her reminisce was how her husband said he would be saved by someone named Wang. What made her feel fear was the law of origin spell Wang Lin had displayed. No one understood the law of origin more than her. Back then, Celestial Emperor Qing Lin almost died to the law of origin. In the sealed realm, it was called the law of origin, but outside, it was called the law of absolute beginning. Ancient devil Xianxia's calm mind was shaken for the first time. He felt a terrifying power within that spell. Although it was still weak, once it grows, it will be something even he would have to retreat in fear from. This is the power of the Supreme. Xianxia's gaze locked onto Wang Lin, and his pupils shrank. He had a feeling that this person was the last trick Qing Lin had prepared for his awakening. In the Cultivation Alliance headquarters, where the life tokens of the important people were kept, one of the 3 purple jade tokens at the top shelf shattered the moment Wang Lin's Sundered Night disappeared. Also at this moment, the chime of a bell echoed across the Cultivation Alliance headquarters. A portion of the cultivators within the headquarters looked up at where the life tokens were stored. Ever since the war with Heaven started, people died every day, but they weren't important enough to have their life tokens stored at headquarters. The bell that signaled someone's death had only rung a few times, at most only 5 times in a row. With the arrogance of the Cultivation Alliance, they wouldn't care anything about morals. They would launch a large-scale revenge battle. Anyone who dared to kill an important member of the Cultivation Alliance would become the enemy of the entire alliance. The bell echoed 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. When the bell rang 5 times, another portion of the people at the headquarters looked up toward where the life tokens were stored. However, the expressions of all those people changed as the bell didn't stop and continued. 6 times, 7 times, until it rang 8 times. At this instant, all the cultivators inside headquarters stopped what they were doing and looked at where the tokens of the powerful cultivators were stored. Dong, when the bell rang for the 9th time, it caused everyone to gasp and then become filled with terror. The middle-aged man that was still sitting inside the secret room raised his head, and his eyes filled with indignation. His body flickered and surged out like a storm across the headquarters. At this instant he arrived at where the life tokens were placed, and he looked at Master Void's token before letting out a heaven-shaking roar. Fans celebrating the new year, please join the VIDEEO fan battle team. If you need to complete a mission, Leo can praise everyone in the chapter narration. Chapter 107, Shining Grain. In the past 3 months, the demonic and orthodox sects had battled each other many times. Whenever either side saw Wang Lin, they would stop fighting and would open up a path. After Wang Lin left, they would continue to battle. After Wang Lin made an offering to his parents, he was no longer confused. He found a cliff, dug a cave, sat down inside, and began to think. First was the spiritual energy in his body. Although his spiritual energy had the power to freeze before, it was far from the power it displayed now. This point confused Wang Lin greatly, and not even Situ Nan could figure out the reason for it. This showed that the Ji, Dao, and Shi realms had disappeared completely from the rank 6 cultivation countries. This spiritual power, as sudden increase in strength, made Wang Lin a bit more confident. He felt the spiritual energy in his body and suddenly felt very strange. It seemed there was something extra in his spiritual energy. It was as if there was some mysterious substance inside his spiritual energy, and it was because of this substance that his spiritual energy's power had increased greatly. Before, he didn't notice this because there wasn't much of that substance inside his body, but the amount of that substance had increased. The moment that thought came about, it began to expand uncontrollably. Wang Lin slightly frowned and concentrated on his body as he moved his spiritual energy. He started at his dantian, then through his body, then back to his dantian. As he examined it, Wang Lin gradually found some clues. His spiritual energy was now dark blue. However, that was not the spiritual energy's true color. It was because of some dark blue threads. This dense bulk of threads was the cause of the change in his spiritual energy. Wang Lin waved his right hand and spiritual energy came out. The spiritual energy gathered into a ball of ice, and inside it were countless dark blue threads. After pondering for a while, Wang Lin reached out and grabbed the air with a serious expression. The ball of ice began to shrink. Every time it shrank, large amounts of sweat appeared on Wang Lin's forehead. Just as the ball of ice shrunk to 1/3 of its original size, some of the threads collapsed. Soon, more threads collapsed as if they couldn't handle the pressure. Wang Lin frowned. He sent out another wave of spiritual energy to replace the dark blue threads as he continued to refine. As time passed, Wang Lin had sent out several waves of spiritual energy, but every time, only a small number of the dark blue threads remained. Under the continuous injections of spiritual energy, the rate at which the dark blue threads disappeared couldn't match the speed that Wang Lin was replacing them. Finally, after several hours, the refining was complete. Although Wang Lin was tired, his eyes were shining. The ball of ice had shrunk to the size of a grain of rice, and the color had changed from dark blue to cyan. This cyan grain of ice was composed entirely of dark blue threads. It emitted a dangerous aura. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he grabbed the grain and left the cave. He paused in the air for a while, then quickly flew toward the closest jungle. Standing outside the jungle, he waved his hand and the grain hit a nearby tree. At the same time, there was a faint glow of cyan light, and the tree turned to ice. A dark blue ripple appeared. Wang Lin's expression suddenly changed and he backed up. In almost the blink of an eye, everything in a 300-meter radius turned into a blue world. within the radius of 300 meters, no matter if it was trees, animals, flowers, insects that were underground. Basically any living thing within a 300-meter radius died. Even Wang Lin himself was hit by the blue light. It caused his body to become stiff, as if a wave of cold energy entered his body. It was a good thing that the energy was the same as the spiritual energy in his body. After it was absorbed by him, he recovered his mobility. Filled with uncertainty, he looked at the center of the blast. He wasn't too sure if he would still be okay if he had been at the center of that blast. It has to be said that the cyan grain was refined by him using only the dark blue threads in his body. There was nothing else like it. Wang Lin muttered to himself, "This cyan grain is the best magic treasure I have." After silently standing there for a bit, he turned around and left. After he returned to the cave, he once again invested a lot of time to obtain another cyan grain. Staring at the small grain, Wang Lin sighed and put it away. Making one already took a lot of spiritual energy. It seemed he was a bit too weak after making two. Although the grain was very powerful, producing it took too much spiritual energy. Wang Lin wryly smiled as he took out some spiritual liquid and drank it down to recover. By the time night came, he had recovered 70–80% of his spiritual energy. His eyes lit up, and without a word, he started to refine another grain. 3 days later, 3 grains of rice floated before Wang Lin. His expression was very serious. 3 seemed to be his limit. It wasn't that he didn't try to make a 4th one, but every time he tried, one of the earlier 3 would dissipate. After several experiments, Wang Lin gave up on the idea of making the 4th one. After the 3 days of observation, although the grain's power was great, it was still not enough to harm nascent soul cultivators. If he could throw out a dozen of these grains, he would have a chance, but no matter what, Wang Lin couldn't make the 4th grain. After pondering for a long time, Wang Lin came up with an idea. If he could fuse the 3 into one, then its power would increase for sure, and since he would only have one, then he should be able to make more. Thinking about that, Wang Lin hesitated for a bit before putting up a few defensive formations with the surrounding rocks. After that, he took out some protection talismans that he had stolen, sat down, then put 2 grains close to each other. Wang Lin's heart was about to come out of his throat as he prepared to escape at any moment. Slowly, the 2 grains touched. Wang Lin saw an illusion. It was as if time had stopped the moment the 2 grains touched. But shortly after, the 2 grains fused into one, without any sound. The new grain had no change other than its color becoming darker. Wang Lin was startled. After pondering for a while, he fused the new grain with the remaining grain. When those 2 grains touched, there was a flash of cyan light. Wang Lin's expression suddenly changed, and he used one of the few teleports he had left to disappear from the room. The moment he disappeared, the cyan light expanded and everything within a 1-kilometer radius turned into a world of ice. Wang Lin appeared 1 kilometer away. Although he was outside the cyan light, he could still feel the cold enter through his feet. Looking at everything before him, Wang Lin began to ponder. Although he had to waste a teleport, it was worth it. It seemed that fusing 2 grains was the limit. When he tried a 3rd, it would immediately explode. He obviously couldn't use that cave anymore. Wang Lin bitterly smiled as he found another place and dug out a huge cave. Using a few days of time, Wang Lin replenished his supply of grains again. He easily controlled them to fuse together, and was finally able to successfully create a 4th grain. This confirmed his previous hypothesis that 3 grains was the max, but if they fused into one, then it only counted as 1. The 3rd and 4th grains fused together. Later, Wang Lin carefully put the 3 grains into his bag of holding. 2 of them had a darker color than one of them. After sorting out all of the grains, more than a month had passed. It was close to the time that the Juming Valley would open up. Wang Lin sat cross-legged on the ground. After cultivating for a while, he opened his eyes and spat out a green light. The small green sword hummed as it circled around Wang Lin, almost as if it had intelligence. Wang Lin raised his hand and the sword landed in his palm. He touched the sword and felt the sword's bone-piercing coldness. The small green sword was blood refined by him, so when his spiritual energy changed, it caused the flying sword to also gain G attributes. Just as he was about to use his changed spiritual energy to refine the sword, he suddenly stopped. He immediately noticed more than 100 sword lights flying in his direction. It seemed they were all chasing one person. Wang Lin's face became as cold as ice as he muttered, "It is that person." It's time to double the likes for the VIDEO, wishing for more likes for the VIDEO. Chapter 1075, Fusion of True Spirit. The entire Cultivation Alliance seemed to tremble from this roar. Only one person calmly arrived outside the Cultivation Alliance headquarters. He coldly stared ahead with the red light representing the G-Realm flashing in his right eye as he walked inside. The moment Sundered Night disappeared and Wang Lin appeared back in the demon spirit land. The endless chaos in the 18th layer of his 18 Hell Celestial Sealing Stamp was pierced open by an unimaginable power, and 3 souls appeared inside. Master Void's soul during his first Heaven's Blight, the purple-robed All-Seer Avatar, and the yellow-robed All-Seer Avatar. The 2 avatars unexpectedly began to fuse in the TH layer. Wang Lin's face was pale, but he stood extremely straight. At this moment, no one present dared to underestimate him, no matter who they were. Killing 3 people and causing a 4th person to become only a sliver of will was not something an ordinary person could do. Wang Lin's pale face revealed a hideous expression as he coldly looked at the All-Seer and his avatars. The blood sword was still stuck in his chest, trapped inside his flesh. Blood came out of the wound and dyed his clothes red. The All-Seer's 3 great avatars were desperate, but Wang Lin was also desperate. If he wasn't he would be died. Although Sundered Night consumed no origin energy when it was used at dawn, the enemies Wang Lin faced were too strong. Although he had used no origin energy, his origin soul had weakened greatly. At this moment, the aura, in Wang Lin's words, was imposing enough to cause the All-Seer to become silent. The surroundings were completely silent, but at this moment that the cries of the vermilion bird above became even more intense. As the vermilion bird cries came closer and closer, Wang Lin's vermilion bird tattoo trembled violently. It flew directly out of Wang Lin's body outside of his control. The white vermilion bird raised its proud head and let out a vermilion bird cry at the sky. The 2 cries intersected, and there was a hint of joy in the cry from Wang Lin's white vermilion bird. The white vermilion bird circled Wang Lin and continued to cry. Then an even more intense sea of flames appeared above the demon spirit land and replaced the world. As the vermilion bird cries echoed, a giant vermilion bird head came out of the sea of flames. The head was so big that it almost occupied the entire sky. The fire from its body seemed to want to dry up the entire land. The moment the vermilion bird head appeared, an unimaginable pressure descended. Master Hollow Wind and them were awakened from their shock and gasped. Situnen's eyes opened wide. Even Ling Tianhua's pupils shrank when he raised his head. The All-Seer's expression became even more gloomy, and there was a hint of bitterness in it. The vermilion bird's sharp gaze swept the ground until it fell on Wang Lin, and it let out another cry. The huge vermilion bird charged out from the flames. As its body came out, the flames around it rapidly shrank. In just an instant, the vermilion bird's true spirit came out of the sea of flames. The sea of flames became the feathers on its body, and the remaining flames turned into its tail. Only after it charged out and revealed its entire body did everyone realize that this vast sea of flames was part of the vermilion bird's body. The sound of people inhaling echoed. The giant vermilion bird charged directly at Wang Lin. He frowned, but there was enlightenment in his mind. This enlightenment came from the familiar feeling he got from his vermilion bird tattoo. In an instant, the giant vermilion bird closed in. It was going to enter the spot between his eyebrows, but it suddenly changed its mind. The vermilion bird's true spirit turned into a sea of flames and surged into the wound on Wang Lin's chest. At this instant, a sea of flames appeared around Wang Lin, and his body floated into the air due to a mysterious power. His body gave off monstrous flames, and his white vermilion bird returned back to his body. Then a crimson-red suit of armor appeared around Wang Lin's body. This crimson-red armor was very beautiful and had the carvings of a white vermilion bird. At this moment, Wang Lin looked extremely dazzling in people's eyes. Even the blood sword in his chest gradually shrank, and it remained inside Wang Lin's body. From the outside, there was not a single trace of it left. His white, flowing hair seemed to complement his red armor, and Wang Lin's eyes revealed a hint of sharpness. Even now, he was uncertain of what had happened. However, the indescribable power of flames made Wang Lin feel a sliver of nirvana cleanser cultivation. It was as if he could control all of the flames in the world with a thought. Like the ancient thunder dragon, he had the power to command all of the fire in the world. In the sky, hundreds of people appeared behind the vermilion bird. The 6 in front all gave off powerful pressure. They all had white hair and gave off earth-shattering auras. Nirvana Shatterer! Behind the 6 of them, all of the vermilion bird divine sect members emitted powerful flame auras. When they appeared, their gaze all locked on to Wang Lin. When the 6 elders saw Wang Lin, their faces revealed excitement and shock. What made them excited was that they had come all this way in order to protect the person who had awakened. Now that they saw that Wang Lin was safe, they all let out sighs of relief. However, what shocked them was that although they were outside the moment the law of origin appeared, they were also pulled into the illusion of the sundered night. After experiencing such a terrifying spell, how could they not be shocked? There was also a trace of dread in that shock. If they were like this, there was no need to mention the hundreds of vermilion bird divine sect members. They all looked at Wang Lin with fanaticism in their eyes. If there were no accidents, this person would be their next divine emperor. One of the 6 elders with 7 vermilion birds embroidered on his clothes immediately shouted, "Protect the person who awakened." After he shouted, the 6 elders immediately arrived next to Wang Lin. The rest of the vermilion bird divine sect disciples spread out and looked at everyone with killing intent. As usual, 2 chapters at noon, about 10 minutes apart, and 2 more at 8 in the evening, 10 minutes apart. If anything comes up, the other will be informed. Longing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1076. The decisive battle begins. The white vermilion bird tattoo on the crimson armor and his white hair gave Wang Lin a strange temperament. Although he was fusing with the vermilion bird's true spirit and was filled with powerful fire origin energy, he couldn't hide his pale face. Sundered Night was very powerful, but he only had a tiny grasp of the law of origin. Using it by force had caused him some serious consequences. The effect of this spell was unprecedented due to the law of origin appearing, the vermilion bird's true spirit, Wang Lin's second awakening, and his desperation. All of these caused it to reach a peak. It was something he wouldn't be able to do a second time, and even if he managed, it wouldn't be nearly as powerful. His origin soul was still weak, and there was still the blood sword from the gray-robed Ulcer's desperate attack. Although the part of the sword that was outside his body was gone, the blade was still in his body and had penetrated his origin soul. Even when he breathed, intense pain would come from his chest, making Wang Lin's face even more pale. If it wasn't for the fact that Wang Lin had the body of an ancient god, which was extremely resilient, this seriously injury would have killed him. However, even with the body of a 5-star ancient god, the pain wouldn't subside. The blood sword in his body contained cold slaughter energy. This slaughter energy was not simple. It was the root of all of gray-robed All-Seer's spells. The intense pain didn't make Wang Lin fall down. Instead, he clenched his teeth and didn't even let out a groan. His gaze went past the people of the vermilion bird divine sect and landed on the Ulcer and ancient devil Xianxia. The fire origin energy in his body normally didn't allow him to feel cold. But due to his weakened origin soul, he felt like he was within a world of snow and his body was covered in ice. The old man who shouted before clasped his hands at Wang Lin. "We are the vanguard of the vermilion bird divine sect sent out to find you. Almost my entire vermilion bird divine sect has been dispatched to ensure your absolute safety." Vermilion bird divine sect Wang Lin looked at the old man and nodded. Just this simple action made the pain in his chest flare up, but he endured it. Regardless of why the vermilion bird divine sect had come, Wang Lin would remember their help. However, even though he was surrounded by the members of the vermilion bird divine sect, he didn't feel any sense of security. Not far away, ancient devil Xianxia's gaze swept over them, and his gaze was extremely strange. The flower imperial concubine, Situ Nan, Wang Wei, Hu Huan, and the others all moved toward the vermilion bird divine sect. They drew a clear line between them and the Ulcer and ancient devil Xianxia. The ones that should come have almost all arrived. Xianxia licked his lips. His eyes were red as he stared at Wang Lin, who was surrounded by everyone. He had to kill this person? Earlier, the ancient devil didn't care about Wang Lin. Not even Wang Lin's royal bloodline could compare to the heritage of the ancient order he was planning to obtain. However, the shocking changes Wang Lin had gone through and that spell that even shocked him made him pay attention to Wang Lin. In addition, he had a vague feeling that Wang Lin coming here was part of Qing Lin's plan. As a result, unless Taijia killed this person, he would have an uneasy feeling. This feeling was very mysterious, but Taijia felt it very clearly. This Wang Lin has repeatedly broken my plans and had become a variable in the Celestial Emperor Cave. Once he dies, the variable will be gone, and all of Qing Lin's plans will be useless. The All-Seer's voice slowly echoed. This made Taijia even more determined. Taijia let out a roar with a bloodthirsty smile and stepped out. The human-like thing also moved with the ancient devil. The All-Seer's hands formed a seal and his remaining 6 avatars charged at everyone. As for himself, he waved his hand and his robes moved without any wind. The colors black and white stretched away from his body and shot into the heavens. The black and white colors entangled in the sky to form a strange chaos. Then the All-Seer's left hand formed a seal, and he sat down, closed his eyes, and began muttering. His voice was very weak and difficult to hear clearly. As he muttered, an ancient void seemed to come out from the chaos. It was as if something was muttering and it was impossible to hear clearly. However, when everyone heard this, they felt a sense of fear, as if they had met their natural enemy. The pressure that came from the sky caused the earth to rumble loudly. In the blink of an eye, the shaking of the earth reached a limit and thunderous rumbles echoed. Countless cracks suddenly appeared, and as they cracks spread, they began to connect to each other. In almost an instant, the ground within 50 kilometers shattered and rose up into the sky like a giant pillar into the black and white chaos in the air. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy. The ground was still trembling, and the area was surrounded by black and white fog, so sight and divine sense weren't able to penetrate it. Ancient Devil Taijia moved very fast and arrived in an instant. The 6 Nirvana Shatterer elders of the Vermilion Bird Divine sect became serious and quickly rushed out. Their hands formed seals and a sea of flames appeared and swept forward. Taijia sneered and waved the blade in his hand. The blade energy shot forward and pushed back the sea of flames. While being pushed back, the sea of flames was split in half. The All-Seer's avatars also closed in. Wang Wei and Hu Huan clenched their teeth and charged out. The Flower Imperial Concubine let out a sigh and went to deal with them. At the same time, the almost 100 Vermilion Bird Divine Sect disciples didn't need orders. They all sat down in the lotus position. Then their hands formed a seal, and in an instant, all of their origin souls flew out. The moment their origin souls appeared, an intense heat appeared. What shocked Big Head and everyone was that as soon as their origin souls appeared, they all began to fuse. It has to be said that the origin soul was the essence of a person's cultivation. Due to differences in domains, it was impossible to fuse, and if there was fusion, it would be devouring. Unless one had a heaven-defying treasure, 2 origin souls couldn't coexist. Yet these nearly 100 origin souls quickly fused before them and turned into a flame giant hundreds of feet tall. The giant let out a roar and charged at ancient Devil Taijia. When Wang Lin saw this, his pupils shrank. A hint of curiosity toward the Vermilion Bird Divine Sect arose in his mind. The 6 great Nirvana Shatterer cultivators, and the fire giant formed by the origin souls of nearly 100 Vermilion Bird Divine Sect disciples fought ancient Devil Taijia. Wang Wei, Hu Huan, and the Flower Imperial Concubine fought the All-Seer's 6 avatars. On the side, Master Hollow Wind, Situ Nan, who was forcibly suppressing his poison, Big Head, and the others used spells to assist. In an instant, the battle became intense. Not only did the Flower Imperial Concubine have to fight the All-Seer's avatar, she also had to deal with that human-like thing. The earth within 50 kilometers rumbled loudly and various spells flashed across the land. Wang Lin sat in the lotus position on the ground. He was seriously injured, and constant pain came from his chest, making his face more pale. However, with the fight going on, he wasn't able to heal, and could only devour large amounts of pills to suppress the injuries by force. In the distance, the All-Seer, who was also sitting, suddenly opened his eyes and stared at Wang Lin. He raised his hand and pointed at the sky. A roar suddenly came out of the black and white chaos. As the roar continued, a headless person walked out. This headless person had a strong body and held a red spear in his right hand. His entire body gave off a savage aura. The moment he appeared, dense black mist came from his body and unexpectedly formed a suit of black armor. The headless person silently charged forward toward Wang Lin. They were pretty close to each other, so the headless person closed in an instant. The headless person was like a gust of black wind as he jabbed his spear at Wang Lin. Wang Lin was like an arrow at the end of its flight right now, but it was still not easy to kill him. At the moment of danger, Wang Lin's eyes became cold. His right eye shined blue, and the azure light shield appeared before him. There was a bang when the red spear collided with the azure light shield. There were already cracks on the shield, and although it didn't crack more, it was pushed back a few inches. The headless person was forced back 3 steps. The black armor on his body shined brightly, and he charged once more. Borrowing the moment the headless person retreated, Wang Lin opened his mouth to spit something out. It was the 18 Hell Celestial Sealing Stamp. Without hesitation, Wang Lin's right hand reached out into the void and a crystal light appeared in his palm. He ruthlessly threw the crystal light forward, and as it shined before Wang Lin, he shouted, "Magic Arsenal!" After he spoke, the crystal light shined brightly and mournful cries suddenly came from the souls who couldn't enter the reincarnation cycle. They rushed out from the 18 Hell Celestial Sealing Stamp and into the specks of light. The specks of light gained power, and a burst of yin energy spread out. What was terrifying was that Master Void's soul had walked out from the layer of hell. His eyes were bloodshot, and he let out a beast-like roar as he charged at the headless person. Mid-month already, brothers. Do you have likes for the VIDE already? Don't hold back, wishing for those likes. Chapter 1077. Battle between teacher and disciple. Every time Wang Lin used Magic Arsenal, he admired Bai Fan greatly for being able to create such a spell that trapped the souls of the ones you kill for your own use, making it so they were unable to enter the incarnation cycle or dissipate from the world. This spell already defied the heavens and almost stepped on the boundary of replacing the heavens in the act of passing judgment. At this moment, Master Void's soul charged out, and it was covered in killing intent. Even the headless person paled in comparison to the killing intent from Master Void. He had died with a lot of resentment, and he was a peak Nirvana Shatterer cultivator going through his first Heaven-S blight. The power of his soul was extremely shocking. After he charged out, he began battling with the headless person. There were also countless souls helping, so it instantly turned the situation around. However, Wang Lin also paid a heavy price. Celestial Emperor Bai Fan's spell had used the little remaining celestial origin energy Wang Lin had left. If not for esteemed Xuanbao's origin soul to provide more celestial origin energy, Wang Lin would be ran out a long time ago. Even with esteemed Xuanbao's origin soul, Wang Lin was running low on celestial origin energy to continue using these spells. If he couldn't find more celestial origin souls, then once he ran out, he wouldn't be able to use Bai Fan's spells anymore. He might be able to use Call the Wind, but it would be a lot weaker than with celestial origin energy. In the distance, the Ulcer frowned. He didn't think Wang Lin would still have an ace even now. The Ulcer's eyes became cold, and his right hand formed a seal. Then he pointed at the sky. This time, the black and white chaos churned even more, and then the head of a giant python suddenly appeared like lightning. This python had a horn, and its scales were black. There were also some vivid tattoos on it, making it look even more ferocious. At this moment, its cold eyes looked at Wang Lin and charged directly at him. It wasn't just the python that charged out. Something else came with it. It was a half-rotten black qilin, and after it appeared, it released a rotting smell. Its eyes released a black glow as it charged at Wang Lin with a roar. After the black qilin, 5 more headless people came out. It was as if there were endless creatures living inside this chaos. These 5 headless people followed closely after the qilin. They circled Master Void and started to attack. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He wanted to summon the all-seer avatars that were inside the Th layer of hell. However, a thought appeared in his mind as he stared at the ulcer and sneered. The reason the ulcer was gradually summoning beasts to attack him was probably to make him summon the 2 all-seer avatars. Wang Lin didn't care if his guess was right or wrong. It just made him feel uncomfortable to have to summon the souls of the all-seer's avatars before the all-seer's true body. With the black python moving like lightning and the fishy smell closing in, Wang Lin closed his eyes. Then the armor on his body released a bright glow, and the white vermilion bird flew out. It rushed toward the python, and the roars of the python and the cries of the vermilion bird began to echo. The all-seer's eyes lit up and he revealed a smile. What he was waiting for aside from the 2 avatars was this vermilion bird. The moment the vermilion bird appeared, the ulcer stood up and stepped forward. With one step, he closed in on Wang Lin. He ignored Wang Lin and mercilessly reached for the white vermilion bird. My heavenly fate force spirit is only missing the vermilion bird spirit. If I can get it today, it will be a joyous occasion. The white vermilion bird let out a hiss and a monstrous flame exploded from its body. However, the ulcer's large hand pierced the flames and reached for the white vermilion bird. The python dodged the vermilion bird and charged at Wang Lin. The python opened its mouth to devour Wang Lin. At this critical moment, although Wang Lin's face was pale, there was no trace of fear in his eyes. A vortex appeared between his eyebrows and his weakened origin soul flew out. The moment the ancient thunder dragon origin soul flew out, it let out a roar. Roar! This roar caused Wang Lin's origin soul to become even weaker, but the python coming at him let out a miserable scream. Countless lightning bolts arched across its body, and its eyes filled with fear. It gave up devouring and was going to retreat. Just at this moment, the chaos surrounding this kilometer area began to churn, and the sound of roaring thunder came from outside. Even the ulcer was shocked by this. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, the thunder pierced through the chaos and charged directly at the python. It wasn't just one bolt of thunder, but countless bolts of thunder, and they surrounded the python. Even the ulcer was surrounded by thunder. As the thunder rumbled, the python let out a miserable cry and its body collapsed. Killing intent flashed across the ulcer's eyes. He didn't think Wang Lin still had spell like this left. His right hand didn't stop and grab the white vermilion bird. At the same time, his left hand rose up and ruthlessly slammed down on Wang Lin. No one can save you? The 6 elders from the vermilion bird divine sect all let out roars and wanted to help, but ancient devil Tajia was too strong. The 6 of them were already insufficient, and even with the flame giant, they were still losing. 3 of the elders coughed out blood and looked bleak. They were obviously seriously injured. They went too far, but it was too difficult for them to save Wang Lin. This palm was the All-Seer's killing move. The moment it fell, Wang Lin's eye flashed blue and the azure light shield appeared. However, the moment it touched the palm, it cracked in two and returned back into Wang Lin's right eye. Borrowing the moment the azure light shield had bought him, Wang Lin's right hand reached at the void. At this moment, he could no longer care for his injuries. A crack appeared before him, and the god-slaying spear appeared. He ruthlessly threw it at the All-Seer's palm. With a bang, the god-slaying spear dissipated into specks of light. It wasn't that the god-slaying spear was too weak, but Wang Lin could only summon an illusion. Adding on the fact that he was seriously injured and couldn't display its full power, it immediately dissipated before the All-Seer's palm. The All-Seer's right hand felt numb, and the killing intent in his eyes became even stronger. It wasn't until today that he finally realized how difficult Wang Lin was to kill. However, right now he was determined to kill this child. Although the god-slaying spear had dissipated, it had also bought Wang Lin precious time. Madness appeared in Wang Lin's eyes as he roared, "If you want to kill me, then you must pay the price." As he roared, the third eye appeared between Wang Lin's eyebrows and suddenly opened toward the All-Seer. The former teacher and disciple began their second battle since that time on planet Tianyun. One wanted to kill, while the other wanted to struggle to survive. They were like water and fire. They could mix. The moment the third eye opened, a red light flashed out, and the little remaining source origin shot out. The red light enveloped the ulcer's palm and also surrounded the ulcer. Even someone as strong as the ulcer couldn't help but tremble, and he cried, "Source origin!" His body rapidly dissipated under the source origin. Behind him, thousands of All-Seers appeared. They seemed to be struggling and were letting out angry roars. It was as if some kind of balance had been disrupted by the source origin. The moment the All-Seer's body was forced to stop, one of the 6 elders of the Vermilion Bird Divine Sect revealed a determined madness in his eyes. Their task was to ensure Wang Lin's safety, but Wang Lin was in a life-and-death situation. If Wang Lin died before their eyes, it would be tantamount to them wiping out the hope of the Vermilion Bird Divine Sect. People that weren't part of the Vermilion Bird Divine Sect could never understand the accumulated sorrow and frustration they had experienced for tens of thousands of years. At this moment, The old man let out a bitter smile and his arms opened. Madness filled his eyes as he began to detonate his origin soul. The self-destruction of a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. This self-destruction was heaven-shaking and created a destructive aura. This old man was willing to give up everything even though Wang Lin didn't even know his name. However, for the hope of the Vermilion Bird Divine Sect, he was willing to choose his own destruction. A thunderous rumble echoed as his body was torn apart. His origin soul carried the unimaginable impact and swept forth. The Alcer's eyes lit up, and his right hand reached toward between his eyebrows. Then 3 marks appeared between his eyebrows. As the Alcer reached toward between his brows, one of the marks was ripped apart. At this moment, the Alcer's cultivation level increased like crazy, and this power formed a storm. It blocked Wang Lin's source origin and stopped the impact from the self-destruction of the Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. Borrowing the self-destruction of the Nirvana Shatterer cultivation, Wang Lin rapidly retreated and finally created some distance between him and the Alcer. The Alcer's white hair flowed. His old face became a lot younger after the mark was destroyed. He now looked like a middle-aged man around 50 years old. That aura from his body caused everyone to suck in a breath of cold air. Even ancient Devoltajia's eyes narrowed. It has been almost 20,000 years since I opened this first seal, Wang Lin. You were able to force me to open my first seal and release the full power of the first Heaven's Blight. I didn't take you as my disciple for nothing. At this moment, an army of more than 10,000 cultivators appeared in the space outside the dust where the demon spirit land was. Leading them was an old man in white, filled with celestial spiritual energy. He gave off the aura of a celestial, and behind him were almost 100 celestials. They were the remnants of the Rain Celestial Realm. This white-robed elder was the Celestial Lord second only to Celestial Lord Xianxia. At the same time, he was an elder of the Alliance. His power was just below Master Zhongshuan's. On the other side, an illusory figure moved through the stars. Although he looked slow, in reality, he crossed an immeasurable distance with just one step. He was the origin soul of the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor. There were 2 more people coming toward the demon spirit land. These 2 people were the old man from the Brilliant Void Realm and Mu Bingmei. Mid-month and it's been forgotten. Hoping for the like button for the video, tears start to flow. Is there still time? Chapter 1078. Shan appears. There was an extremely strange domain in the star system. It was a boundless domain and was one of the forbidden lands of the Cultivation Alliance. The reason it was strange was that from a distance, it looked like a land of illusions. There were trees piercing through the sky and grass as far as the eyes could see. At a glance, it looked extremely fake. This beautiful jungle that should exist on a planet just floated in boundless space. It also wasn't just a jungle, but a vast forest that seemed to have always existed. Dense, wood origin energy filled the star domain. It formed a green mist that shrouded the star domain and lingered for a long time. Any cultivator that got close would find their origin energy stop, and some would even find their origin energy disappear without a trace. Even the Cultivation Alliance dreaded this place, so they made it a forbidden zone. Only a few old monsters that have been around for a long time still had vague memories of this green, mist-filled place. Although the memories were vague, they hadn't forgotten. This was the location of the 4 Divine Sect's Azure Dragon Divine Sect. At this moment, a person slowly appeared in the distance. This person looked middle-aged, and there was a trace of reminiscence and melancholy in his eyes. He looked at the Azure Dragon Divine Sect and let out a sigh. He then raised his right hand and pointed forward. The shadow of a vermilion bird appeared and let out a cry that echoed across the world as it charged into the green mist. A moment later, several figures flew out from the green light. The 3 people that charged out all had white hair, and there were traces of time on their faces. Behind them were 6 elders following closely after them. Greetings, Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor. After the 9 old men walked out from the green mist and saw the middle-aged man, they revealed looks of respect as they clasped their hands. The Vermilion Bird Awakener has appeared, and I need to borrow your Azure Dragon Divine Sect's holy treasure. I also need you all to come with me. The middle-aged man was the origin soul of the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor. To ensure nothing would go wrong on this trip, he had already gone to the Black Tortoise Divine Sect and the White Tiger Divine Sect. The Azure Dragon Divine Sect was the last one. The 9 old men from the Azure Dragon Divine Sect looked at each other and didn't hesitate much. One of the 3 elders in front respectfully nodded. "We will obey the order of the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor." As for what was going on in the Demon Spirit Land, by borrowing the self-destruction of one of the 6 Vermilion Bird Divine Sect elders, Wang Lin was able to get away from the All-Seer. His eyes were completely red and intense pain shot through his heart due to his injuries. In the distance, the 5 remaining elders of the Vermilion Bird Divine Sect were too late to come to help. The 5 of them weren't at peak Nirvana Shatterer cultivators. They were mostly in the early and mid stages, and they were already finding it difficult to deal with ancient devil Tajia. If they were distracted for a moment, they would be seriously injured. These 5 elders were surrounded by flames and had magic treasures surrounding them. These were no ordinary treasure either. They were all void treasures stored by the Vermilion Bird Divine Sect for countless years. Although they were not as good as pseudo-Nirvana void treasures, the way the 5 of them used them with the Flame Giant, and adding on the Flower Imperial Concubine, who had won over the human-like thing, they were able to confront the Ancient Devil. However, when the Ancient Devil used spells, it was obvious they were at a disadvantage. The All-Seer's expression was calm. After tearing the mark from between his eyebrows, he had a powerful aura around him. He slowly approached Wang Lin. "To be killed by me while I am at First Heaven Esblight, you can laugh in hell." The All-Seer walked one step and a storm echoed. Before he even got close, the storm swept Wang Lin. It was as if knives were cutting his body, creating popping sounds, and then Wang Lin was knocked back. Wang Lin coughed out a mouthful of blood and revealed a ferocious expression. During his entire cultivation life, if not for his struggling and resilience, he would have already died. There was still blood at the corner of his mouth as he slapped his bag of holding, causing dozens of flying swords to appear. With a roar, he pointed at the All-Seer, and they all shot forward. At the same time, Wang Lin took out the 3rd God-slaying war chariot. When the 3rd war chariot appeared, it turned into the butterfly, and with a flap of its wings, Laws appeared. The All-Seer's expression was calm, and his feet didn't stop at all. Facing the dozens of swords, only his mouth moved lightly as if he was chanting a spell. The dozens of swords suddenly paused in the air, and then there was a thunderous rumble. The dozens of swords all shattered into pieces, and the pieces flew at Wang Lin. As the fragments flew back due to some unknown spell casted by the All-Seer, they formed into a dragon. This dragon was covered in sharp blade fragments and charged straight at Wang Lin, but it crashed into the butterfly. The butterfly flapped its wings and crackling sounds came from the dragon. This sound was very harsh. It was like countless metal pieces were rubbing each other. In just a moment, the dragon shattered once more into powder that scattered with the wind. This scene caused Wang Lin's scalp go numb. This was the first time he had been in a situation where he didn't even know what spell the other already had used, and he almost died. If not for the fact that he had pulled out the God-slaying war chariot quickly enough, he would have been caught unprepared. The butterfly flapped its wings, an invisible wind containing law blew toward the All-Seer. However, the All-Seer's expression didn't change when the butterfly appeared. He just chanted once more. Earth-shattering explosions went off before the butterfly and layers of ripple spread. It caused the butterfly to tremble and show signs of collapse. Wang Lin's expression revealed a deep struggle as his hand formed a seal and he coughed out a large mouthful of blood on the butterfly. He then shouted, "Activate the 3rd seal." The butterfly trembled and flapped its wings once more. 4 incomplete petals appeared above the butterfly, and as it flapped its wings, the 4 incomplete petals floated forward. The All-Seer exclaimed slightly as he raised his right hand and waved. Large amounts of fragments appeared in the void before him, as if he had shattered the sky with the wave of his hand. Those fragments all flew toward Wang Lin. The butterfly still had the 4 petals out, but they didn't have time to display their true power before the fragments swept past Wang Lin and it disappeared. And at this moment, the All-Seer closed in. He had a calm expression as he raised his right index finger and ruthlessly pointed between to Wang Lin's eyebrows. If this finger landed, even Wang Lin's ancient god body would immediately collapse, and his weakened origin soul would instantly disappear. From that day on, there wouldn't be anyone named Wang Lin anymore. The All-Seer's strength was like a giant mountain that stood before Wang Lin. Wang Lin subconsciously felt like he couldn't resist, and even if he did resist, he wouldn't be able to cross this mountain. However, this feeling was suppressed by Wang Lin the moment it appeared. "I'm not willing." Wang Lin's voice echoed across with a roar of madness. As the Alsa's finger fell, Wang Lin took out a sword sheath from his bag of holding and held it out before him. In an instant, the Alsa's index finger collided with that sword sheath. There was a heaven-shaking sound and cracks appeared on the sword sheath. Although it didn't shatter, the force threw Wang Lin into the distance. He coughed out a large mouthful of blood. Wang Lin's vision had blurred and his origin soul was almost ripped asunder. He felt like he was about to fall apart, and at this moment, the only thing holding him together was his unwillingness to surrender and his will to defy the heavens. The Alser paused. Although he looked calm during that attack, the rebound force from the sword sheath had shocked him. Killing intent flashed across his eyes as he took a step and seemed to teleport it before Wang Lin. He raised his right hand and was about to ruthlessly slam down. Just at this instant, an intense killing intent came from within the depths of the demon spirit land. The ground erupted, and a shadow covered in tattoos appeared from below the earth. This shadow was even several times faster than the Alzer. It quickly closed in like a bolt of thunder, and a gloomy roar echoed through the world. "Anyone who hurts my lord will be Tashan's mortal enemy." The moment the Alzer's palm descended, the shadow threw out a talisman made of animal skin, and it burned into smoke. This smoke made this shadow several times faster, and in a flash, he arrived before Wang Lin to block that palm. A thundering rumble echoed as the person covered in tattoos retreated with Wang Lin in his arms and coughed out blood. A lot of the tattoos on his body collapsed, but he revealed a ferocious expression. The smoke around his body quickly entered his body to heal him, and a portion of it entered Wang Lin's body. Just at this instant, Big Head's miserable scream echoed. His body was destroyed by the Alsa's avatar, and his origin soul was seriously injured. He was about to be destroyed by the All-Seer's avatar. Just at this moment, the seriously injured Lei Ji let out a roar. He was very close, and he rushed out before Big Head and collided with the All-Seer's avatar's attack. Boom! Lei Ji's body collapsed, and his origin soul almost dissipated. Master Hollow Wind waved his sleeves and collected Lei Ji's origin soul. However, the price was his chest was pierced through by a sword from one of the All-Seer's avatars. Master Hollow Wind coughed out blood and retreated with a miserable smile. He then closed in on the also seriously injured two Chen brothers. Mid-month and the hope for likes on the video has slipped by 2 days already? Tears streaming. Is there any hope left? Chapter 1079, Mubing Mei. At this moment Taijia opened his arms, and the illusion of a crescent moon appeared behind him. Then, with one moon burial, the void treasures before the 5 elders collapsed. They were blown back and they coughed out blood. The flame giant formed by almost 100 vermilion bird divine sect disciples collapsed under the spell, and the nearly 100 origin souls returned to their bodies. They all coughed out a large mouthful of blood. The Alzer turned a blind eye to all of this as he stared at the tattoo-covered Tashan and slowly said, "You have been hiding down there for a long time. I thought you weren't going to come out." Tashan silently pondered. He had indeed been hiding down there for a long time. He didn't have to come out for this fight. After all, this had little to do with him. In truth, this was his intention. However, just now, when Wang Lin faced the moment of life and death, he let out a roar. His body seemed to lose control and he charged out. Tashan Wang Lin's expression looked haggard, but his eyes became even more sharp. At this moment, Tashan was helping him stand, and blood was coming out from the corner of his mouth. Wang Lin took a deep breath and said, "Let go of me and go help Big Head." His hand clenched the sword sheath as he stared at the Alzer with monstrous killing intent. He seemed to have reverted back to how he was when he was on planet Suzaku, a fiend with monstrous killing intent. "I, Wang Lin, am a heaven-defying cultivator. Even if I die, I'll die an indomitable spirit. There is nothing to fear in life, it is merely death." The sword sheath in Wang Lin's hand shattered into countless pieces, leaving only the rusty iron sword. Tashan hesitated slightly before silently retreating. He looked at Wang Lin, and for a moment, luster returned to Wang Lin's eyes. Then Tashan suddenly turned around and charged to where Big Head and Master Hollow Wind were. Wang Lin had asked Tashan to leave, because he understood that with Tashan's cultivation level, even with the Tattoo Clan Holy Ancestor's inheritance, he still wasn't strong enough to stop the All-Seer. Although Tashan didn't look that injured from taking that blow, Wang Lin knew that Tashan wouldn't be able to withstand a second blow. Holding the iron sword, Wang Lin took a deep breath. He looked at the All-Seer and revealed a hint of bitterness. "Let me call you teacher once more. Without you, I don't know where I would be. Maybe I would have still left planet Suzaku. Maybe I would have chosen a remote place to go into seclusion. This is my struggle for survival. If I die, teacher, please bury me back on planet Suzaku. Even if I can re-enter the reincarnation cycle, let me be buried in my homeland. Situ and the others don't have anything to do with you. If I die, I hope teacher can let them go." The All-Seer's expression was calm as he looked at Wang Lin. After pondering a bit, he nodded. Wang Lin laughed loudly, and this laugh was filled with arrogance. His body was in pain and his origin soul was fragmenting, but his hands didn't tremble. He held the iron sword and slowly lifted it. "All-Seer!" As Wang Lin shouted, he swung his right hand, and all the origin energy in his body entered the iron sword. The sword released a harsh sword hymn, and the illusion of a giant sword appeared in the air and swept toward the All-Seer. 1 strike, 2 strikes, 3 strikes. The All-Seer didn't move and just calmly looked at Wang Lin, calmly looked at the sword strikes connecting one after the other. 7 strikes, 8 strikes, 9 strikes. Before one swing dissipated, another swing came. The sword strikes surrounded the All-Seer and replaced all other light. 10 strikes, 11 strikes until the 19th strike, where Wang Lin coughed out blood and his crimson-red armor dimmed. 20 strikes, 21 strikes, 23 strikes. When Wang Lin reached his limit, the armor around him dissipated into fire origin energy and entered the iron sword. 24th strike. Popping sounds came from Wang Lin's body and 2 streams of blood flow from his eyes. His expression became even more ferocious as he lifted the iron sword once more. The sword lights around the All-Seer whistled, and in the blink of an eye the 25th strike formed. The moment the 25th strike appeared, blood sprayed out of Wang Lin's chest and his wound opened. His body trembled, but a powerful will prevented his body from falling. With a miserable smile, Wang Lin lifted the iron sword once more. The 26th strike appeared and swept by the All-Seer. At this moment, the All-Seer was moved. He stared at Wang Lin and pondered. "What you were doing is useless with my first Heaven's blight cultivation. You need at least 30 blows with that pseudo-nirvana void treasure to stop me from advancing." Is that so? Wang Lin's vision was still a blur, but his right hand didn't stop and waved again. The sword light around the All-Seer whistled, and the 27th strike appeared. Blood came out of Wang Lin's orifices, but he let out a roar and threw the iron sword at the All-Seer. It turned into the 28th and 29th strikes. The All-Seer shook his head, but at this moment, Wang Lin's origin soul began to collapse on a large scale. Although it hadn't dissipated, he became even weaker. However, he was able to exchange it for even more origin energy. The iron sword erupted with even stronger light. As it circled the All-Seer, the 30th strike appeared. This didn't stop. After the 30th strike, the 31st and 32nd strikes appeared as quick as lightning. 33 strikes. Wang Lin let out a startling roar, and large amounts of blood gushed out from his body, forming the last strike, the 33rd strike. These 33 strikes circled the All-Seer, and with one final point from Wang Lin, they released a sword energy that could pierce the demon spirit land. It contained monstrous power and killing intent as it charged at the All-Seer. The rust from the iron sword fused with the sword light. Rumble, rumble, rumble. An impact that shook the heavens appeared around the All-Seer. At this moment, everyone stopped their battles and looked over at this unimaginable impact. Even ancient devil Tajia revealed a strange gaze as he looked over. Master Tashan clenched his fist and his body trembled. "Master!" Big Head's origin soul stared straight ahead. He felt an indescribable pain fill his origin soul. "Little Lin?" Situnan was battling the All-Seer's avatar and was covered in blood. At this moment, he stared at where Wang Lin was with bloodshot eyes. A sword storm appeared where Wang Lin and the All-Seer were, and this storm connected to the heavens. The entire demon spirit land trembled violently, the earth collapsed, and the sky changed colors. As thunderous rumbles echoed, the entire sky was torn open, revealing the endless space outside. When the sword storm swept by, the demon spirit land collapsed. As the sky collapsed, endless origin energy rushed in. This fierce impact caused a huge shockwave. After the impact dissipated, the ulcer calmly stood there. In his hand he held a trident that gave off an ancient aura. However, most of his clothes fragmented when the wind blew by. Even a large amount of his hair fragmented and disappeared. Wang Lin's body contained a trace of unwillingness as he slowly fell backward. His body fell from the towering pillar and plummeted toward the collapsing earth. "I'm about to visit my mom and dad," as Wang Lin's body fell. His confused eye looked at the torn sky. He could faintly see his father and mother waving at him. They revealed smiles of kindness that he hadn't seen in over 1,000 years. These smiles only existed deep within heart. It was his most precious and cherished memory. "Perhaps this is for the best," Wang Lin smiled, and in his eyes, Li Muan and Wang Ping appeared behind his parents. "You guys were waiting for me?" Wang Lin's eyes were filled with confusion. He muttered to himself while he fell. "It says Situ Jo Yi. I was unable to fulfill my promise. I am sorry." Wang Lin closed his eyes, and the moment he closed them, two figures appeared in the sky above the demon spirit land. These two figures were a male and female. The man was the old man from the brilliant void realm, and the woman was Mu Bingmei. Mu Bingmei's absolute beauty and endless coldness collapsed the moment she saw Wang Lin's body fall from the pillar. An unknown complex feeling appeared in her mind. At this moment she lost control of her body, and she took a step and shot toward Wang Lin. The old man beside her frowned and let out a sigh. He didn't stop her but looked at everyone in the demon spirit land. Mu Bingmei was like a fluttering butterfly as she arrived next to Wang Lin and held him. Looking at the man so close to her, the complex feelings in her heart couldn't be diluted at all. To be exact, this was the first time she had faced him. Letting out a sigh, Mu Bingmei waved her jade-like hand and a crack appeared before her. A jade bottle containing only one pill flew out. This bottle was made from the best celestial jade and contained numerous restrictions on it to preserve the effect of the medicine. Since the bottle was like this, there was no need to talk about the only pill inside. Mu Bingmei took out the pill and placed it next to Wang Lin's mouth without hesitation. This pill didn't need to be devoured. The moment it touched his lips, it turned into 2 strands of milky white gas and entered his nostrils. "No one in this world can kill you before I do." Mu Bingmei raised her beautiful hand that could cause any cultivator's heart to tremble. She looked at the ulcer, and her eyes revealed a cold gaze. "It's the middle of the month. Wishing Leo's video gets plenty of likes. Remember to like and share Leo's video, okay? And don't forget to leave your thoughts about the video." Chapter 1080. "I don't need you to save me." "Brilliant Void Saintess." The ulcer's expression immediately became serious. He quickly retreated a few steps while holding the trident, but then his gaze quickly moved toward the old man in the air. "Lu Yun Dao." The ulcer frowned and said, "Could it be that your brilliant void realm wants to get involved as well?" The old man looked at the ulcer and then at the gloomy-looking ancient devil Tajia. When he looked at ancient devil Tajia, there was a hint of remembrance in his gaze. "This old man's target is him?" The old man let out a sigh and walked toward Tajia. The ancient devil's eyes were filled with devilish flames as he stared at the old man, and they became serious. His right hand grabbed the blade and swung forward as he gloomily said, "It's you. It turns out you didn't die. I should have already died, but Brother Qinglin saved me. Although our feud was deep since he saved me once, I owe him. I pay that debt with you." As the old man spoke, he walked toward the ancient devil. His expression was calm, as if the ancient devil wasn't worthy of his attention. Tajia let out a roar and a monstrous black mist came from his body. The mist turned into a devilish shadow, and it opened its mouth to try to devour the old man. In the blink of an eye, the ancient devil and the old man were shrouded in a cloud of black mist. The ancient devil's roar came out and thunderous rumble echoed. Mu Bingmei put down Wang Lin and shot straight toward the All-Seer. The All-Seer frowned as he retreated and calmly said, "Brilliant Void Saintess, I don't want to make an enemy out of your brilliant void realm. This Wang Lin has no relationship with you. No one can stop me from killing him." "You re not qualified to kill him." Mu Bingmei shook her head as she flew into the air. With a wave of her right hand, illusions appeared. They unexpectedly all looked exactly the same as Mu Bingmei. However, there were only 8 of them. Spirit lock the soul. Refine the heavens for energy. Mu Bingmei's voice was calm, and the moment she finished speaking, the 8 avatars immediately formed seals with their hands. A powerful surge of origin energy gathered. It formed a pillar of origin energy that suddenly came crashing down. The Alzer's eyes revealed a strange light, and he muttered something. The origin energy pillar that descended from the sky began trembling. Mu Bingmei shook her head and softly said, "Your heavenly fate spell is useless against me." As she spoke, her right hand reached at the void and endless origin energy gathered to form a bamboo slip. The moment the bamboo slip opened, a 7-colored light was released. Numerous runes flew out and surrounded Mu Bingmei's body. Although I am only at the first heaven's blight, none of the origin energy inside the brilliant void can escape my control. If I don't want you to have any origin energy, you can take even a speck. Mu Bingmei's jade-like hand pointed at the runes around her. The runes suddenly scattered and disappeared within the world. At this instant, all of the origin energy in the entire world changed greatly and gathered toward the origin energy pillar. Mu Bingmei stared at the All-Seer and said, "Seal all of the All-Seer's external origin energy." Although her voice was calm, it contained an unquestionable tone. At this instant, all of the origin energy around the All-Seer separated from him as if it were rejecting him. It dissipated fast and was exhausted in an instant. Only the origin energy inside the All-Seer that was refined wasn't affected. However, this inconceivable spell was far beyond anyone's imagination. Even the All-Seer's expression became gloomy. I have long heard that within the brilliant void realm, the brilliant void saintess has a powerful spell. The title of brilliant void saintess has been passed down for generations since ancient time. Even when celestials still existed, her identity was a match for the celestial palace. There were 4 celestial realms, and each one had a star system below them. Rumor has it that there is one person in each star system that has an inheritance from the ancient celestial realm. Each of the 4 star system saintesses control different powers. When I entered the brilliant void realm to cultivate, I heard many rumors about the brilliant void saintess. Today I see that those rumors are true. Mu Bingmei didn't speak as she pointed at the origin energy pillar. The pillar rapidly shrank until it was a glittering short sword made of light. Holding the short sword, Mu Bingmei raised her head and moved like a butterfly toward the All-Seer. Even until now, she didn't look at Wang Lin a second time. The complex feelings in her heart made it so she didn't know how to face this familiar stranger. No one could understand her mind, because even she was still confused. She only knew that she couldn't stand watching Wang Lin die. She couldn't remain indifferent while others tried to kill Wang Lin. There was an even more complex feeling that made her heart very painful. Due to this feeling, she wouldn't allow anyone to kill Wang Lin. This thought had lingered in her heart for a very long time and filled her heart. Many times she would be awakened from her cultivation due to shock late at night. She would stand alone on the highest mountain of the brilliant void realm and look at the endless void. That painful feeling would make her feel like her heart was bleeding. That idea would make her almost lose control. She had gone through countless years feeling like this. Today, when she saw Wang Lin, that complex feeling and pain brewing in her heart filled her mind. She didn't dare to lower her head to look at Wang Lin, who might still be unconscious. She didn't dare. She only held the short sword and charged at the All-Seer with that complex feeling. It felt like that was the only thing that could calm her heart. The All-Seer's expression was gloomy. Although he knew a lot about the brilliant void saintess, he didn't think she would be able to seal the world's origin energy. This meant that his heavenly fate spells had no effect on her. The heavenly fate spells were a way of communicating with the world. This communication allowed him to obtain an intangible law to use. He let out a cold snort as he swung his trident. 3 rays of light shot at Mu Bingmei. As rumbles echoed, Wang Lin opened his eyes on the ground. When he saw Mu Bingmei battling the All-Seer, his eyes revealed a very complex expression along with a trace of unerasable pain. He didn't think he would actually meet her so quickly, and at a time like this. Whenever Wang Lin thought of Liu Mei, the pain he felt was far more intense than any injury could cause. His heart hurt every time he thought about the bitterness in Wang Ping's body. While pondering, Wang Lin sat down in the lotus position and took a deep breath. He was out of spells, and it seemed he had nothing left to fight against fate with. "I still have one more spell." Wang Lin looked at the endless space that had appeared when the sword storm broke the sky of the demon spirit land. The powerful origin energy coming from outside surrounded the demon spirit land. Although the azure light shield was broken in half, it didn't disappear. The life-saving blow of an 8-star ancient god is stored inside. Although I don't know its power, it can be weak. As Wang Lin pondered, his right eye shined blue. The vague shadow of the azure light shield appeared. However, this azure light shield was split in half and was rapidly fusing with Wang Lin's eye. Even if hadn't fused, the 8-star ancient god spell stored inside could still be used. The requirement was that there was enough ancient god energy. Wang Lin had an idea of dealing with the problem of obtaining ancient god power before. That was to split his avatar and original body, and allow his original body to settle down somewhere to gradually absorb ancient god power with the azure light shield. However, it would take too long. Originally, Wang Lin planned to do this after he left the demon spirit land. However, right now he had to find a shortcut. However, if it was a shortcut, it would come at a price. It was a price Wang Lin would have to pay. Wang Lin looked at Lu Mei battling with the All-Seer. His eyes became firm and resolute. I don't need her to save me, and I don't want to owe her anything. While pondering, the 5 ancient god stars suddenly appeared between Wang Lin's eyebrows and rotated rapidly. A large amount of ancient god power emerged and entered the azure light shield in his right eye. As the ancient god power entered his right eye, the blue light from his right eye became so bright that it was blinding. The price of using his own ancient god power to fill the azure light shield was very costly for Wang Lin. Although his stars didn't shatter, using all of his ancient god power caused his 5th star to dim and look extremely bleak. However, as long as the ancient god star didn't shatter, it could be restored. However, the azure light shield required too much ancient god power. As the light from Wang Lin's right eye shined brighter, more ancient god power entered his right eye, and the 4th star also dimmed. The blue light from Wang Lin's right hand exploded and shrouded the area. Even Mu Bingmei and the Alzar, who were battling, noticed the strange blue light. The stars between his eyebrows rotated faster and faster. The 3rd star dimmed, followed by the 2nd star. Finally, the last remaining star also slowly faded. However, at this instant, the blue light from Wang Lin's right eye shot out like a sword into the sky. He looked at the 50-kilometer-wide pillar that had risen into the air due to the All-Seer's spell. The pillar immediately rumbled as it was unable to withstand Wang Lin's gaze and then collapsed. Mid-month, hoping to get the like button pressed for the VIDEO, Chapter 1081, Dream of Ancient Times. Just at this moment, the rays of light appeared within endless space. These rays of light were very fast and rushed through the torn sky into the demon spirit land. The person leading the way was a celestial filled with celestial spiritual energy. Behind him were many celestials that had also slaughtered their way here. A large amount of Alliance cultivators arrived and surrounded the area. For the Cultivation Alliance, whether it was the 4 divine sect, the Alzar, or ancient devil Tajia, they were all enemies. Even these celestials don't want Qing Lin to awaken. They'd rather have the ancient devil occupy the body. However, the ancient devil was someone they had to kill. Qing Lin's famous was enough to shock the remnant celestials. Even the celestial lord who was leading the charge used to be very respectful before Qing Lin. He didn't dare to have the slightest thought of rebelling. However, these celestials had been worshipped for countless years due to the Cultivation Alliance, and none of them were willing to give up what they had and go back to the past. As a result, they didn't want Qing Lin to awaken. The ancient devil had to die. Set formation. The moment they charged into the demon spirit land, the former celestial lord let out a roar. The Alliance cultivators quickly formed seals. As endless origin energy filled the sky, 9 giant shiny swords appeared. These 9 giant swords floated in the air and surrounded the 50-kilometer area. Tao refinement! Countless Alliance cultivators shouted at the same time, and these words echoed like rumbling thunder. The formation activated, and at this instant, the 50-kilometer area was shrouded in endless swordlight. The numerous celestials rushed out and charged at the people below. Most of them were after the black mist the ancient devil and the old man were in. Another group went directly after the All-Seer. In an instant, everything fell into chaos. However, at the moment of chaos, The monstrous blue light came from Wang Lin's right eye. The pillar the Alzir had made began to collapse, and the blue light pierced through it. When the blue light pierced through, the pillar collapsed into a pile of rubble. A thick layer of dust was kicked up, and everyone on the pillar dispersed. Wang Lin jumped into the air and charged at the All-Seer. The sudden appearance of the Cultivation Alliance and Wang Lin's spell caught the All-Seer's attention. His expression became extremely gloomy as he used the trident to knock away Mu Bingmei. He shouted, "Since you re-looking for death, I'll grant your wish." Mu Bingmei hesitated for a moment, but at then Wang Lin's cold voice echoed, "I don't need your help. As for the pill from before, I'll find ways to repay you several-fold. As for saving my life, I'll also repay it several-fold." Mu Bingmei's expression immediately became pale as she silently retreated. She bit her lower lip until it bled. She stared at Wang Lin and shouted, "I want to see him." Her voice was filled with sadness. This was her strongest desire in her heart. It had echoed in her mind for countless years, and she still felt very complex about it. He was someone no outsider could know or understand. However, Wang Lin's body trembled. How could he not know? He was Wang Ping. The mention of Wang Ping caused Wang Lin's heart to feel intense pain. If you didn't personally experience it, it would be impossible to understand. You re not qualified. Wang Lin's heart stung as he charged at the All-Seer. Mu Bingmei let out a miserable smile. She wanted to say something, but she couldn't utter a word. When the Celestials of the Cultivation Alliance closed in, Mu Bingmei stared at them with a cold gaze. The anger from the complex emotions in her heart was vented on the Celestials. She charged at the Celestials with the short sword in her hand. Ignoring her for now, Wang Lin flew directly at the All-Seer. The blue light from his right eye was like a sun that lit up the world. This made his body give off an indescribable sense of majesty. The All-Seer, holding the trident, had a feeling of fear. The blue light contained a spell he couldn't see through. All-Seer, our battle is now over. Wang Lin let out a roar as the blue light shined from his right eye, and the azure light shield appeared. The azure light shield had already split in half, but at this moment, the halves fused together. Then it unexpectedly shattered into countless specks of light that surrounded the area. At this instant, the All-Seer's heart trembled, and an unknown sense of danger filled his mind. This kind of danger was extremely rare for him, but it was so strong that it made him suck in a breath of cold air. He didn't hesitate to reach toward between his eyebrows' left hand, and he mercilessly ripped. The second seal between his eyebrows was half ripped open by him. Before he could finish tearing, a huge palm descended from the sky. The speed of the palm was beyond imagination. It formed into a fist and smashed into the All-Seer's body. The thunderous rumbles continued to echo, and the earth shook violently. After the large fist, a pair of large fists landed on the ground with a thud. At the same time, an unimaginable change appeared in the space above the demon spirit land. The sky rumbled loudly and a huge vortex appeared and rotated rapidly. This vortex was very large and boundless. All of the planets within the area were included in the vortex. Various realistic scenes began to appear. There were many majestic buildings. These buildings were very simple, but they looked very ancient. This was a blood-red land with only these boundless buildings. It was like nothing but these buildings that supported the world existed. Just at this moment, a giant foot descended from the sky and landed on the ground. The moment the foot landed, the earth shattered and a thunderous rumble echoed. The foot landed on a building and caused it to immediately collapse into a pile of rubble. At the same time, an earth-shattering roar that echoed across the void could be heard. Within the very realistic scene inside the vortex, the owner of that foot was a huge giant. It was an ancient god, an 8-star ancient god. If that was it, it wouldn't be too shocking. But next to the 8-star ancient god, there were nearly 100 more giants of equal size. These almost 100 giants were all 8-star ancient gods. Further away stood an even larger figure. The 8-star ancient gods simply couldn't compare to this figure. It was like ant compared to an elephant, but even this doesn't describe how large this figure was. Even further away, there was a monstrous surge of demonic energy, and ancient demons appeared from within the demonic energy. The endless demonic energy flooded across the world as their roars and shouts echoed. In another direction, There was heaven-shaking devilish energy, and ancient devils charged with crazed bloodthirst in their eyes. This was a large battle between the three ancient order clans. On the ground there were countless QI refiner cultivators, but they were far more powerful than any cultivator today. They were grouped by families, and each one had various tattoos between their eyebrows. They began a crazed slaughter. This battlefield was simply too big. The vortex among the stars only displayed a corner of the battle. Everyone in the demon spirit land suddenly noticed that the demon spirit land disappeared. Everything before them had disappeared, and they had appeared within the battlefield. The surrounding scene was terrifyingly realistic. However, there were obviously people who didn't believe it and thought it was all an illusion. Although shocked, a celestial from the Alliance looked at it with eyes filled with disdain. A shadow suddenly hovered over him, and an ancient god's foot mercilessly stomped down. He didn't even dodge, and in the blink of an eye the right foot came crashing down, causing the earth to tremble. When the foot lifted, the celestial was gone, leaving only a splat of blood and flesh. His origin soul had also collapsed. This scene caused everyone to suck in a breath of cold air. At this moment, a giant bird, 10,000 feet large, let out a ferocious hiss and flew over. A thunderous rumble echoed when the bird flew by, and its wings were like blades. It swept across the Alliance cultivators who formed the formation, and hundreds of them were split in half. Blood sprayed everywhere. Dream of ancient times. The ancient devil, the old man, and the celestials fighting suddenly stopped and stared dumbfoundedly at this. When ancient devil Tajia saw all of this, fear appeared in his eyes. Primordial times. Could this be a primordial battlefield? The old man from the brilliant void realm gasped. This was the life-saving treasure that the star ancient god had left in the azure light shield. The life-saving spell of an 8-star ancient god couldn't be simple. The dream of the ancient god, dream of ancient times. At this moment, the earth trembled even more violently. The nearly 100 ancient gods walked on the earth and began charging toward everyone. The ancient devil clan and the ancient demon clan also roared as they rushed over. It seemed the location everyone was at was the center of the battle. The impossible large figure that was behind the 100 ancient gods also raised its foot. Welcome everyone to watch. Fans of the narrative chapter expressed their wishes for praise in the latest installment. May the new chapter receive even more acclaim. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter. Everyone present felt their scalps tingle and quickly scattered. As for the ancient devil, he looked at the approaching ancient devil clan with excitement in his eyes. The Alzer struggled to stand up in the distance and coughed out a mouthful of blood. The calmness in his eyes collapsed and his left hand ruthlessly ripped off what remained of the second seal. At this instant the Alzer's roar echoed across the world. He released an aura several times more powerful than before. This aura was so strong that even the primordial battlefield seemed like it was going to collapse. Wang Lin, come out for me. The Alzer let out a roar. His appearance changed greatly after the second seal was removed. He went from a 50-year-old middle-aged man to a man in his prime around the age of 30. His hair was completely black, and he emitted an extremely powerful aura. Tearing off the second seal had released his second heaven-s blight cultivation level. This was already his limit. He didn't dare to casually release his third heaven-s blight. Wang Lin was only a small cultivator who had shocked him again and again. That law of origin was already extremely powerful. The All-Seer thought that was Wang Lin's ace, so he didn't think Wang Lin would still have this kind of spell when pushed into a corner. Wang Lin, come out! The All-Seer roared angrily at the sky. However, just as his voice echoed, a buzzing sound came from the world. I am right in front of you. That sound was several times more violent than thunder, and it replaced all other sounds on the battlefield. This sound echoed in everyone's ears. Some of the cultivators whose cultivation levels were lacking bled from their ears and their miserable screams echoed. Even the Alzer was startled. He raised his head to follow the voice, but as soon as he did so, his face turned pale and he sucked in a breath of cold air. The figure that was far larger than any 8-star ancient god appeared before the All-Seer and everyone else. This figure was also so large, it was impossible to describe. The All-Seer couldn't even see the face of this figure. He could only see up to their waist. The moment the All-Seer raised his head, he heard a strange whistling sound. It was as if something from above was coming down, but it was going so fast that there was friction with the air. In an instant, a powerful gust of wind descended from the sky. This gust was very strong, and the moment it landed on the ground, it caused the ground to crack. The cultivators of the Alliance collapsed under this powerful gust of wind. Even those Celestials were filled with fear. In particular, the Celestial Lord from the Alliance revealed unspeakable terror, and his body trembled when he saw this figure. Even with his cultivation level and mental strength, his body trembled and cold sweat soaked his body. His eyes were locked onto the sky, and he seemed like he wanted to say something. However, he began to laugh like crazy, but his laughter contained a hint of madness. It was like he had just experienced some kind of unimaginable stimulation that caused him to go crazy. He coughed out a mouthful of blood, but this former Celestial Lord was still going crazy. He constantly retreated until he disappeared to somewhere in the world. This sudden scene startled everyone. However, they didn't have time to think, as the gust of wind from the sky became even stronger. Someone looked up at the sky and saw a black dot in the distance. This black dot became larger and larger. In an instant, as the wind became even more intense, the black dot turned out to be an unimaginably large fist. It was like a piece of land that was going to come crashing down, and the shadow it casted replaced the sky. The All-Seer's expression became very serious. His aura reached a peak, and he threw the trident into the air. Then his hands formed seals and his robe moved as if there was some gas moving within his clothes. He opened his arms, and then his body erupted with his peak second heaven-esque blight cultivation as he charged into the sky. The giant fist descended like crazy, creating sonic booms as it closed in on the trident. There was a loud bang and crackling sounds came from the trident. Just as it was about to collapse, the giant hand grabbed it, and the fist continued to descend with the trident in hand. The fist collided with the All-Seer. Rumble, 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 rumble. The heaven-shaking sound and unimaginable impact spread out like crazy. It was as if a curtain was removed, and the entire primordial battleground disappeared under this impact. The world returned to normal, and the vortex outside the demon spirit land disappeared. Those planets also returned to their positions. Even the demon spirit land was the same as before. There was no change. The only thing that changed was that now there was a crazy person. Many Alliance cultivators had disappeared, and everyone was shocked. Popping sounds came from inside the All-Seer's body, and he fell to the ground. He then coughed out a mouthful of blood with pieces of internal organs mixed in. Behind him was ancient Devil Tajia. Thank you. The All-Seer's voice was hoarse, and he coughed out another mouthful of blood. Ancient Devil Tajia's face was also pale. At that moment he resisted with the All-Seer. This was the only way to save his life from that unbelievable spell. Wang Lin's body fell from the sky before the All-Seer. The moment he landed, he coughed out blood, and there was a trace of blue light in his right eye. However, that blue light immediately collapsed, and along with it went the azure light shield. The shield shattered completely. There was one more thing in Wang Lin's hand, the All-Seer's trident. At this moment, Wang Lin didn't have any power left to fight, and even his legs were trembling. If not for his determination honed from over 1,000 years of cultivation, he would have already fallen. Mu Bingmei was startled by all of this, and she was still shocked by what she saw. Even the brilliant void old man looked at Wang Lin with a very different gaze. Mu Bingmei's words gradually echoed in his ears. He is not an ordinary cultivator. The surrounding Alliance cultivators all looked at Wang Lin with dread and fear. That scene just now was something they could never forget. That realistic primordial battleground, the miserable scene, and that incomparable figure left an unerasable mark in their minds. Even though Wang Lin had no more fighting power, none of them dared to take a step forward. At this moment, their hearts were still pounding violently from what just happened, and hadn't calmed down. Wang Lin's figure seemed to overlap with that incomparably large figure in their minds. As he stood there, he gave off an invisible sense of majesty. The brilliant void old man looked at Wang Lin and let out a sigh. The person before him made him think of the 4 divine sect's white tiger. The white tiger back then was able to block countless powerful cultivators from the Alliance and the brilliant Void Realm by himself. Even after he died, he made his enemies not dare to get close for a very long time. Wang Lin had completely become famous in this battle at the Demon Spirit Land. Although his cultivation level wasn't the highest, no one dared to casually offend him. "Wang Lin, you must die!" The All-Seer looked at Wang Lin and raised his right hand. However, before he could use a spell, the sky above changed once more and a person stepped out. This person was middle-aged, but he was only here with his origin soul, yet he gave off a dignified aura. Behind him were dozens of people. There were people from the Azure Dragon Divine Sect, the Black Tortoise Divine Sect, and the White Tiger Divine Sect. Behind these dozens of people there were numerous members of the Four Divine Sect. Their arrival seemed to make the world change colors and thunder rumble across the sky. This caused everyone to raise their heads. "Who dares to kill our future Divine Emperor before me?" The middle-aged man was the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor. His voice was calm, but the moment that his voice came out, it caused the Demon Spirit Land to tremble. Many people on the ground retreated as if they couldn't withstand this voice. "A lot of old friends have come." The middle-aged man looked around. Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor, the All-Seer's expression became gloomy. Compared to the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor, the All-Seer was a junior. In the Alliance, aside from a few people, not many could match the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor in seniority. The middle-aged man appeared before Wang Lin with one step. He carefully looked at Wang Lin before he revealed a smile of admiration and nodded. "Good. Good." Although it was only 2 words, they were enough to reveal his satisfaction with Wang Lin. In truth, he had already arrived, but the reason he didn't appear was because he had taken this chance to test Wang Lin. The truth was that Wang Lin made him very satisfied. Now this battle will end. The Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor's eyes lit up and revealed a fierce gaze. He raised his right hand. A piece of white stone appeared. The moment this stone appeared, an extremely hot energy appeared in the world. The space around it began to distort as if it shouldn't exist and was being rejected. The moment the stone appeared, it melted into a drop of burning blood, and it floated above the middle-aged man's hand. Anyone who looked at this drop of blood would feel as if they had just swallowed a mouthful of fire, and heat appeared in their hearts. The brilliant void old man stared at the thing in the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor's hand and said, "The Vermilion Bird Divine Sect's treasure from primordial times. Today marks the first watch. Longing for the like button for the VIDEO. The VIDEO wants to charge up the trending charts, hoping the veteran supporters lend their firepower." Chapter 1083. The Four Holy Treasures. The moment the red drop of blood appeared, a flame that didn't seem to belong to this world swept across the sky. This world was now enveloped in a red light. In the end, this flame that shouldn't exist in this world gathered in the southern part of the sky and formed a vermilion bird. It let out a cry and looked down upon everyone with an aura of nobility. At the same time, the several elders of the Azure Dragon Divine Sect beside the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor looked at each other. The elder in front with 9 azure dragons embroidered on his robe took a deep breath and formed a seal before his chest. He then let out a roar and a powerful aura spread out. At the same time, he revealed a painful expression as the clothes around his chest melted, revealing his skin. Green light flashed from his chest and something floated out. It was a piece of green wood. The moment the green wood appeared, roars of dragons echoed across the world. Countless azure dragons hundreds of thousands of feet long appeared in the endless starry sky. The roars of the azure dragons echoed across the sky. It set off an incredible ripple that scattered in all directions. A violent wind that wanted to disrupt the norm was set off. In the end, these azure dragons gathered in the east and formed a very large azure dragon. It was coiled together as it looked at everyone with a ruthless gaze. Similarly, 7 elders from the White Tiger Divine Sect sat down in a formation and formed seals. Golden light flashed from between their eyebrows, and 7 pieces of broken metal flew out from their heads. After the 7 pieces of broken metal appeared, they fused together to form a piece of metal with an irregular shape. However, another change occurred in the sky after the metals fused. The roar of a tiger suddenly appeared and shocked the world. An intense killing intent swept the area, and the cultivators with weak minds were almost scared out of their wits. What followed the roar of the tiger was an incredibly large white tiger. This white tiger looked extremely ferocious. as if it would attack any living creature. As it floated in the air, its red eyes swept past everyone and arrived on the west side of the sky. The last sect to take out their holy treasure was the Black Tortoise Divine sect. After the betrayal of the Black Tortoise Divine Emperor, the sect was split in half, and due to the attack of the Alliance, there were very few people left in their sect. Although they had grown, there were still very few left. Only 3 elders had come. The moment they closed their eyes, a wave of water appeared and swept the area. As the monstrous wave swept across the sky, a giant black tortoise appeared. This black tortoise looked a little bleak. It let out a long hiss, and the water under it pushed it to the north end. However, compared to the other 3 divine beasts, this black tortoise was obviously lacking. The 4 divine beasts were in position: the azure dragon to the east, the white tiger to the west, the vermilion bird to the south, and the black tortoise to the north. Although all of this sounds long, but the 4 divine beasts appeared in a very short period of time and surrounded the sky. The Alzer's expression became gloomy. Ancient Devil Tajia also stared at the 4 divine beasts and revealed a cold gaze. The vermilion bird divine emperor had come prepared. He waved his right hand, causing the drop of blood in his hand to fly out toward the vermilion bird in the south and fuse with it. The vermilion bird immediately let out a hiss, and the flames around it became even stronger. It charged straight at the Alzer and Ancient Devil Tajia. At the same time, the azure dragon, the white tiger, and the black tortoise divine sects all did the same. The 3 divine beasts let out roars and charged down, causing an unimaginable impact to spread. The Alzer's expression turned gloomy and his right hand formed a seal. He then pointed forward and shouted, "Heavenly Fate 7-colored tiger spirit." After he spoke, there was a flash of 7-colored light, and from inside this light, a 7-colored tiger appeared. This tiger was as big as the white tiger and pounced at the white tiger. Heavenly Fate 7-colored dragon spirit. Heavenly Fate 7-colored tortoise spirit. After the Alzer shouted, a 7-colored dragon and 7-colored tortoise appeared. They let out a roar and rushed out. Then the Alzer himself formed a seal and charged at the sky. As Ancient Devil Tajia stared at the 4 divine beasts, there was a hint of fear in his eyes. These 4 holy treasures felt somewhat familiar to him. Deep within his memories, he seemed to have seen them before. This wasn't Qinglin's memories, but his ancient devil memories. Ancient Devil Tajia pointed at the sky and shouted, "Sun, moon, star, triple burial." At this moment, the sky occupied by the 4 divine beasts was covered in starlight. This starlight appeared very suddenly and shot at the 4 divine beasts. After the starlight came moonlight. It broke through all the chaos in the world and arrived here. The moonlight was invisible and seemed to appear from nowhere, like an illusion. The moonlight was followed by the first of the 3 burial spells and also the strongest, sun burial. The moment Ancient Devil Tajia used this spell, light from the void outside the demon spirit land began to gather at one point. As more and more light gathered, the point of light became low.